Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris, the Candyman, and you already know what time it is. Tonight, we're grading best ball teams. I've got none other than our extra special guest. You know him, you love him, and hey, he's actually one of the final 6 remaining contestants on So You Think You Can Tout, Mr. Mitchell Daigle, the Commish. What's up, brother?
Yeah, how's it going tonight? Obviously, I'm going to be an impartial judge here, completely objective. You can trust my word as well. But yeah, it was a super busy day in the tout world. So excited to wrap it up with you tonight.
So before we get too deep into it, I want to have you explain to us what the challenge was today, what was going on during the best ball bash, and then we're gonna grade these best ball teams. So, Commish, take it away. Tell us, just give everyone an overview of what was the what was the what was the task today? What was the challenge?
Yeah, so I can kind of go behind the scenes because Pete kind of talked about it on After Dark tonight. But the theme of this week was actually interview week. So for how they're going to be judging, I'm going to guess it's how we built chemistry with our guest today and interviewed in a live setting with the draft going on. Part one of the challenge was like a quick 10 to 15-minute interview with Pete, which was a one-on-one call that we did this week. And then this was part two, where obviously during the bash, usually it's a more of a informational or get to know the guest judges or the guest people that are brought on. So that was our task. Everyone had to do a draft. It was like 45-minute time segments that we all had to sign up for. So all 6 of us went today. It was luck of the draw who got on with you. Some people got people that had a pre-existing relationship. Max got on with Cups, which they were a perfect duo, I thought. And then obviously O'Hara hit the nuts with PPR after they've done a bunch of streams together. And then everyone else, I thought, kind of got, people that they, didn't have a former relationship with or didn't really know. Tony Square started us off. He got Kitchen as his guest, which was his advantage from last week for winning the debate, absolutely destroying Emo in the final round of that. So that's kind of what today was. But I would say, it's interesting. This will be interesting to see who actually drafted a good team because we were all focused on the interview segment. So seeing who could actually draft a good team in the background of that will determine who can really tout, in my opinion.
Well said. Yeah, thanks for giving us the overview there, Commish. And if you want to see the interview segment in portions and you haven't already watched the episode, go check it out on Peter Overzet's channel. It's the Best Ball Bash from earlier today. But we're not here to grade the interviews. We're here to grade the drafts. I consider myself a best ball bro. I've been drafted in these streets long enough and late enough. And so I know what I'm looking for. So let me tell you what we're looking for tonight. We are going to pull up on stream each of the contestants, and we're going to systematically grade their squads. We're going to do it position group by position group, and we're going to go low score to high score being good. So we're going to do either 1, 2, 3, or 4 stars for each position group, right? So if we think the QB room has great value, if we think they really had some good stacks, maybe we rate that QB room a 4 out of 4 stars. And we're going to keep tally in our spreadsheet going. Once we get through all the teams, we're going to tally it up and see who we thought numerically had the best squad. And so I think what we're going to do, and we can even split the difference. I think what we're going to do is, I know Commish, he's gonna give his inputs. We're gonna take his grading into consideration though, because we're both gonna be honest here about how good we think these teams are. And so we'll kind of average our scores out. What we'll do is we'll keep track of both of our scores, what we think, if we agree or if there's something different, one's 2 and one's 3, we'll give it 2.5. We'll kind of split the difference, but we'll keep track of the scores and we'll see at the end, and we'll let y'all also give us some of your inputs on who you think can draft the best ball team. So these are all best ball mania drafts from today. The criteria is not just a good team. It has to be structurally sound. We want good stacking. We want bringbacks. We want good week 17 matchups, the fantasy football playoff schedule. We want ball knowers. We want, if they're reaching for a pick, we want it to be a player that's rising. If they take a player or they reach up for a player that's falling, that might not be a smart move at this point in the summer. I know it's June, but we've been drafting out here year round, really. And so that's the plan. We're going to jump
Yeah.
through all of the position groups on these teams before we get into our first draft with Tony Squares and David Kitchen. Commish, you got any other things you want to say before we jump into it?
No, I think it's a sharp point on people bringing certain people up and making sure they have a reason for that. Because I definitely think, without naming names, one strategy people have done with some of these live drafts within the competition has been bringing or drafting people that they feel confident touting, right? And sometimes that they'll do that instead of picking the player that makes the most sense for the team or what they've built out to that point. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what people were actually able to, come up with. I told Candyman this off stream. I haven't watched many of the other streams. I didn't want to get into my own head as a competitor. So this will be my first kind of time seeing these teams as well. Obviously, I'll defer to you a little bit. If we have a tiebreaker, we'll go towards you. You're more the best ball bro. I'm famously more of a dynasty bro, redraft bro myself. So yeah, let's get into it.
Love it. Yeah. And thanks again for being here. Guys, go subscribe to Mitchell's channel. The link, we threw it in the chat already. Go check out the content he's been putting out, not just for So You Think You Can Tout, but also his fantasy football content. And Commish, I wanted to ask you, what's next on the content radar? Obviously, So You Think You Can Tout is what you got going on right now. But looking ahead, what's kind of the content that you're thinking about putting out the rest of this summer and as we get into like peak fantasy football season?
Yeah, I don't want to reveal too many details right now, but I've been in the works on something behind the scenes. A lot of my creative time outside the show and outside of work over the past few months have been going into this one project. And I think we're going to have more details on that once the show wraps up. I don't want to step on So You Think You Can Tout in any specific way. But, once it wraps up, I think we're going to have something really cool planned for going into next year. And of course, just continuing to chop it up with the bros. I mean, that's been the best part of this competition, getting to know you, getting to know a lot of the other touts. So having the lads on as much as I can.
Of course, yeah, that makes it it's like, the journey, especially in fantasy football, only one person in your home league can win every year. Everyone else loses. In these best ball tournaments, we're all losing. We're all donating money at the end of the day. So it's the journey. You got to enjoy the journey, make the friendships along the way, and share in the struggle and good, healthy debate on your player takes and all the things. So all the things that make fantasy football so much fun. I'm going to catch up with the chat super quickly, and then we are getting into grading the best ball bash drafts from today from So You Think You Can Tout. We got Jeff T. Money Ain't a Thing in here. What's up, brother? We got Emo, of course. Emo is the final team of the day that we'll be grading. We'll look into his team with BB Chosen.
Yeah.
We got Charles in here. We got Blizzy. What's up, my man? We have Miss Maryland's Travels. How we doing? Thank you for being here. Brett, of course.
We had to make y'all wait. This was such great content. We had to make sure you guys were waiting.
Maryland hits the nail on the head. Yeah, I was having tech difficulties. I mean, besides putting my kids to helping put my kids to sleep, God bless my wife. She's a saint. But getting the kids to bed and then my camera, of course, I don't know, something was up, but it was all good in the end. Yeah, we're hanging out in the green room. Of course, like I said, go subscribe to JPDLFF. Check out the Commish's content there. Links in the description, link in the chat. Is Commish the guest?
Some would say Candyman's the guest, but
Yeah, the guest on my show. What else we got? Who else we got in here? I think we got it. Relax on the destroy. Yeah, I was kind of, relax on that one.
I saw email in the chat.
Come on. I know you did. Hartman, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Hartman just coming off of a stream. So was Blizzy. Blizzy was just live with Goofy. Hartman was just live. The boys, you love to see it. We got Billy Jones in here, one of the OGs. Love to see it. Thanks for being here, Billy. Always good to see your name. Hope you're doing well. Happy Thursday, everyone. It's almost the weekend. Squares won, but I don't know if he destroyed emo. Says Billy Jones. Commish, so I have big Friday night plans I want to share with you, and then you can tell me what you got going on. Also, we got Max in here. What's up, Max? Tomorrow night, I am seeing Elmo live with my 3.5-year-old daughter and my wife and my best friend and his wife at ACL Live, the Moody Theater in downtown Austin. So my best friend, his wife is like the show manager. She like books all of the bands and all of the big shows. Willie Nelson. I mean, you name them, Jack White, anyone that comes through, like that plays at ACL Live, she's booking them. And she got us free tickets to Elmo Live. So I'm going to be at Elmo Live tomorrow night. And I can already tell, like, my daughter is pumped. She's not even like the biggest Elmo fan, but all kids, when you tell them they're going to an Elmo show, they're psyched. Like, it's just across the board. It's a win.
Yeah, I feel like Elmo has a super high approval rating. I mean, I literally watched the Scooby-Doo movie just by myself like 2 nights ago, so I'm not above content like that. I'm sure that'll be a blast.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. Glad to see you all in here. Don't forget to smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. I've got a goal to get to 2,000 subs now, and we're going to be celebrating the 1,000 sub goal very soon. I'm doing a celebrity poker tournament on the channel and a bunch of other fun stuff and giveaways. It's coming soon. I'm setting the date very soon. I've been DMing some people. I'll be DMing some more. But without further ado, let's get right into grading these teams. So let's set the stage. The very first pairing, we had Tony Squares with David Kitchen, which was a pretty fun matchup for me. I did catch a little of this one without spoiling too much. I know Commish is going to go back and watch it. Tony was aware of David Kitchen, but is not a fan of the Swolecast, or I would say the late round QB content. So he might not know all of the David Kitchen inside jokes and mannerisms, but he did his homework. And so he did come prepared, which I was impressed by, but it was funny trying to see him lean into some of the kitchen isms and things. You know,
did
just
he mention like Dairy Queen,
and which is fun. I'm a big Swolecast fan, so I and Kitchen's, you know, he's a real one, but it was fun. So, you know, but there's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone knows everyone's content, so Tony getting more involved and kind of learning some of the OGs and some of the guys in the space, I think is good. But he did get to go on stream with Kitchen, which was sick. They got the 101, so streamer luck. They started with Bijan, Pickens, and McBride. And I don't really have a problem with this start. It's hard to make a team look bad in the first few rounds. But do you have any comments here you want to give on anything else you would do differently here? I think one thing I will say before I toss it over to Commish, Tony was adamantly in the Bijan camp. And I think it's one of the most polarizing positions there is early in fantasy drafts this year. Are you team Bijan or are you team Gibbs? I have been team Gibbs for it feels like a month or two now. I was team Bijan until I dove more into it. And I think the reasons Tony gave for being team Bijan were okay. I would love to debate him on it because I'm wondering how far he's really looked into it or if he's just kind of vibing it. In either way, I mean, it's totally fine. I'm not saying there's a right answer or a wrong answer, but I would love to kind of push back on some of the things that he was advocating for Bijan in that way. And so, Commish, the first 3 picks before I stand here and rant any longer. Any pushback on the elite tight end start? Anything wrong with the Pickens choice? I know you're kind of team Gibbs too.
Yeah, first of all, from like a meta standpoint, getting a pick on the turn in this type of a setting where you're supposed to be doing an interview is a smash. Like, first of all, I ran bad getting the 5th pick because it's harder to balance that. As for the actual team, I'm Gibbs as well at the 101. Although if I were to build like a portfolio, I would have probably a 60-40 Gibbs. It wouldn't be any sort of strong stand right there. Pickens is okay. I would probably have Love and Rice over Pickens there for the second round. I do like going elite tight end when I can, so I like McBride there. So if I were drafting here, it would probably look something like, you know, Gibbs, Love, McBride, or Gibbs, Rice, McBride.
Yeah, that's sharp. I totally agree. I think Love would be a nice pick there. I don't think it's too early to double tap running backs. I think the team that's Gibbs, Nico Collins, and Love looks pretty sharp. But like I said, through 3 rounds, hard to go wrong.
Yeah.
One of the points that Tony was advocating for Bijan was the new coach. So now we have Coach Kevin Stefanski. He's a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. That's a good thing. It should be a coaching upgrade. There is some question of the quarterback play, but I think Tua raises the floor, if anything. And so that could be an upgrade for them as well. That's another tailwind. Some of the headwinds I want to get into, just to harp on the Bijan a little bit. Bijan was splitting the work last year with Tyler Algier. Bijan had 7 carries inside the 5-yard line. So did Tyler Algier. For reference, David Montgomery had 15 inside the 5-yard line carries himself, splitting the work with Gibbs. So, like, there's just less to go around there. They're not scoring as often, but they are splitting that work. Two other points about Bijan. Squares made a very good point. He mentioned about, I think it's 65% of the snaps Bijan played last year. The thing about Kevin Stefanski, he's never played a running back, even when he had Nick Chubb in Nick Chubb's prime.
Yeah.
He's never played a running back more than 56% of the snaps. Could things change? Could Stefanski say, hey, I've got this bird in the hand. Let me just, use Bijan as more of a workhorse? Yes, I think that could be true. So we could see it go a little bit higher, but that's going to moderate, I think, to some extent, because even when we had prime Nick Chubb, we had Kareem Hunt getting a lot of touches, getting a lot of high value touches as well, in kind of a tandem backfield. And I think that's where they brought in Brian Robinson. So Brian Robinson, he is not really a pushover. He doesn't catch a lot of balls, but we don't really need him to. He's a short yardage specialist. He's a short yardage back. And so Bijan last year, one of the most damning stats for Bijan that I did some research on when I was putting together my first podcast episode. Make sure you guys check it out. Edge detection on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Go check it out. New episode coming out this week. I was going to put one out last weekend, but got busy. Life happens. I just moved cities, houses. But Bijan was 39th among running backs in 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 to get the first down. He was getting stopped a lot, whether that's the bad offensive line, the bad play calling, the scheme. Some of those things can change going forward. Maybe it was too obvious. They were kind of maybe, hinting at what they had and enabling defenses to stop them more effectively. But I think that's where they bring in Brian Robinson. He is that short yardage guy. And I think, and I've seen Mike Clay projections, I think they have Brian Robinson with 4 rushing touchdowns. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 4, 5, or even 6. We saw Algier get, I think it was 8 rushing touchdowns last season, or maybe it was 8 total. But Bijan only had 7 rushing touchdowns last season. So that's kind of the risk on Bijan at the 101 is he's not an offense that scores as many touchdowns as the Lions. He's not in the position to score as many. So I know that was a lot, super hypercritical, and we won't go in that depth on every player, but just something I wanted to push back on the case for either Bijan or Gibbs at the 101. What do you guys think in the chat so far? Any strong takes for or against Bijan? And then we're going to move on to the next parts of the team before we start to grade out the positional groups. We'll check back in. We got James O'Hara in here. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here.
They better.
Mr. O'Hara. Who else we got? Not sure how some parents will endure otherwise. We got Lou in here. What's up, Lou Dog? Who else we got? It's just Max. Chris, when is Edge Detection episode 4? I know, I'm slacking. I've had the script written for weeks. I have not. I was going to record it last Saturday, and my parental duties got in the way, which is the good life, which is what I'm supposed to be doing on the weekends. But if I ever get free time this weekend, I'm going to put out 1, if not 2 episodes. So I know you guys.
By the way, I really like the podcast. It goes straight to the point. It's a quick hitter. Like, you're not wasting any time in there, which I'm all about.
Appreciate you, dog. Yeah, a little behind the scenes. For me to write the script, do the research, record, edit, and put it out, it's anywhere from like 5 to 8 hours of work.
Yeah.
And for a 6-minute episode. And so I have been struggling to find the time to get one out. But I promise you, I'm getting one out this weekend. I'll stay up if I have to. I'll stay up. I'll come back home from Elmo Live, and I will record in the wee hours. We got Nice and Blunt in here. What's up, Adam? Good to see you, brother. We got Goofy Chicken in here. What's up, man? Goofy was live earlier with Blizzy, and Goofy has a big show this Saturday. I think it's 5 p.m. Central or 4 p.m. Central. Either way, 5 p.m. Central. Can't wait to check that out. It's going to be a great show. I got KY in here. An 8-hour stream. I wish. We're going to go for a bit longer tonight.
Yeah.
But I do have a big marathon 8-hour stream-ish coming up to celebrate the 1,000 subs. So if you're not subbed to the channel, if you're here for the first time, if you're watching this in the future, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed to the Commish's channel. Links in description as well. Thanks for being here. Hit that like, get in the chat, say what up. Okay. Let's move it along a little bit. Okay, so it's going well. They're having some team chemistry. I went way too far ahead there. It was a long stream today. It was a really long stream.
It was long.
Okay, Devontae Adams, smash. I think a great pick. And but then I think Kitchen went JMO, which Tony was not in for. I'm open to it. They could have had Loveland there if they didn't go McBride, but it's fine. I probably would have tried to push for a running back here.
Yeah,
Now,
that's what I was going to ask. Like, you're going to be more the structural guy here. I mean,
yes.
one running back, even when it is Bijan this far into the draft, seems kind of rough to me.
Here's the part where I'm confused. They go
Kraft.
Tucker Kraft, who the vibes have been okay. Some people are very in on them. Tony's very in on them, but they take him in the 6th round, which is about a round too early, if not a whole round and a half too early. And they already had McBride. So to get 2 tight ends before you have your second running back, to me, is a major red flag in a best ball mania tournament where you've got to start 2 running backs every week. You want to be flexing a running back a lot of the weeks, and you want to have a shot in those important playoff weeks where we don't have a player that's one of your top picks just sitting on your bench and the points aren't getting used. Tucker Kraft could hit your flex with McBride going off. Maybe they're tight end 1 and 2 on the week. Maybe you have the nuts. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's a very tight needle to thread. And then to go Hurts in the 7th, I kind of would advocate against that when you go the elite tight end. And you're kind of playing bully tight end here if you're going to pay up for Kraft at these prices. So I think we're really behind the 8 ball here at running back. Let's see how they dig their way out.
Yeah, completely agreed. Unstacked Hurts there too.
Which is, I do take a fair amount of Hurts. And so, Hurts getting a lot of his fantasy points from the rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
You might not have to have him stacked, but there are some nice options, especially when, Lemon went the pick before them. I don't know if they were keying on Lemon there. I think Lemon's price is a little expensive, if I do say so myself. I'm not opposed. I'm not fully fading him, but the problem I have with taking Kraft and Hurts here is for 3 rounds in a row, we really ignored running back. And the running back cliff in my mind is once you get past Stevenson and Pollard, you've got very few options where you have to hit. You're going to need a Rachaad White. You're going to need Dobbins. You're going to need a Dowdle or Aaron Jones. And maybe Jonathan Brooks, if that's your vibe. I know he's kind of, it's a lot of projection for him. He's kind of both sides of the slapsis we've seen. So with Jonathan Brooks, who knows? But then they go Michael Wilson, who's a guy I like, and Josh Downs, who I'm okay with. He's a good target earner at least, and he should get some more targets in that offense. But they skipped running back again. They skipped out on Jonathan Brooks. They skipped out on Rachaad White, Gainwell. Dobbins would have been available. Dobbins is your RB2, would have been a smash. I mean, I think I'm getting higher and higher on Dobbins. I took Dobbins in a best ball mania today over Harvey on a team. It just made sense for me, and I just was kind of aligning things up. So I'm starting to get there. I like Harvey as well, but I think Dobbins, I'm hearing the coach speak. I'm leaning into when he's healthy, he's their top guy. He's going to get the most touches. Man, it comes back around. They go Bill Krosky-Merritt, who has one of the lower floors among all running backs that we can think of in this range. And they go Keaton Mitchell, who I think is the fanciest 0 on the board.
Yeah, which I kind of get. Like, if you're this far behind at running back, you just have to shoot for upside at a certain point. Like, projectable volume is gone by this point in the draft. But this is kind of where you compound mistakes. Like, you made mistakes earlier, and now you're doubling down on the mistakes. So, yeah, I agree. I don't know what they were doing in those middle rounds.
Yeah, I'm not a big Keaton Mitchell fan. I think for me, he should be going in round 17 or 18 is kind of where I see him lining up with other running backs there. Give me Justice Hill. It sounds terrible. Give me Samaje Perine. These guys are on equally good offenses. They get way more touches. They're just as explosive. They're older. They're more veteran, but I mean, they'll get the work. Like I guarantee those guys will score more fantasy points than Keaton Mitchell this year. Whether or not they have bigger spike weeks, maybe, but we've seen guys like Justice Hill put up huge spike weeks. And so it's not, you can't put it past him. So I think it's that level of bad of a pick. And it seems like everyone is on crazy pills, and I'm the only one who sees the sky is falling. But Keaton Mitchell going anywhere but besides the last 2 rounds to me is like criminal. So I don't know. It's crazy. But that's also just one of my hot takes this year. Let's keep going. So right now, it's not looking too good for the running back room. Their tight end room is looking very strong, so that could maybe save them a little bit. But I am going to dock them in my mind for taking Kraft so early. They then go Cam Ward, unstacked, which is an interesting pick. I don't like that. They go Antonio Williams, who I think is another kind of risky fancy zero. If Debo returns to Washington, if Ayuk goes there, Antonio Williams goes to super low, and his projectable volume right now, it's okay. It's not the worst pick on the board, I will say, but I'd prefer a guy like maybe even Boston or Stribling, or just these veterans like Tucker, Debo Samuel. So
yeah,
Pacheco
like
here.
Stribling.
Yeah, go ahead. You like
Yeah,
Stribling?
no, I
Yeah.
just like Stribling. Is Mendoza unstacked as well?
Mendoza is unstacked, and then Pacheco, which I think at this range, I don't like the Pacheco pick personally. I like to have better running backs, but you're going to need him because he's at least on the Detroit Lions. And so as your RB4.
Yeah, does it make sense if you do pick Bijan over Gibbs to fade Gibbs in that way? Like if you're doubling down on that bet, it's a little fancy.
It's a good line of thought from a game theory perspective. I've done it in past years. I think about it still, but it's like a tie break, and I wouldn't force it. At the end of the day, there's only so many players that matter in fantasy football. Do I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be one of the players that matter? Probably not. He's not doing anything for your team to win. He's probably more of a floor play, and his floor seems pretty low. He's on a good team. He's on a good team before. He's one more year removed from the injury, but I think he's, I don't know. It concerns me. I think it really is a year we see Gibbs used more as a workhorse running back with his new offensive coordinator. And I'm pretty out on Pacheco. I think it's okay, though, the super late. I just think as your RB4, I really don't love it.
Yeah.
And then so far we have three unstacked QBs.
Quarterbacks. Yeah.
So let's see how they land it. They take another fancy zero with Mike Washington, who, I mean, what's the role behind Ashton Genty? It's almost nothing.
No, but he's been getting some steam lately. I feel like a lot of people are talking about Mike Washington.
I was drafting him super high in pre-draft best ball, but this is post-draft. He got a terrible landing spot behind Genty. So let's see. They've got, I don't know if we can see their last pick here.
Yeah, you might just have to do like
There we go.
Oh,
they're queuing up Ray Davis, I think is who they ended up taking. No, he goes. It looks like they took Braylon Allen, which I think is a good pick for this team.
I don't hate Braylon. Yeah, that's a good
That
might be their second best running back.
So I'm gonna make some notes on what kind of team. Actually, I probably should just screenshot. I wish they had a whole view, but I'm gonna make at least some notes on their team. It's a 3, 6, 7, 2, and so let's look at their QB room together. As far as we can tell, it's unstacked. They pulled in the Mark Washington for some kind of Mendoza connection, but it didn't really do anything for me.
That was definitely not intentional either.
Yeah, well, man, QB, Hurts, Ward, Mendoza. I like the allocation of draft capital. If you spend up at one, get two others that are cheap, it's not a terrible reach on Ward. I'm just not really into him at his current price. Mendoza's okay at his current price, I think. I like guys who are even cheaper, maybe even like who aren't competing for a job, like Aaron Rodgers or Geno Smith. I kind of like better, but it just depends on the team builds a lot of times. I'd honestly, because it has Hurts, it's not dead. I'd call this like a high 2 or a low 3. I'm kind of leaning to a 2 for QB. How are you feeling?
I agree. I think if it was stacked up better, it would be a 3, but without the stacks,
it's missing.
We lean 2. Yeah.
And we have the right, we reserve the right to come back and edit this up if we do find a stack that we missed originally. But I'm without any stacks and without anything else to impress me, just having Jalen Hurts is maybe not enough. Plus, it's kind of a tough playoff schedule for the Eagles. The Raiders have an okay playoff schedule, and Mendoza should be starting by then. The running back room, they go Bijan. They wait so the first pick to the 120th pick, 119 picks between your running backs. It should be something that you don't do a whole lot. I'd call this an anchor RB build.
Yeah.
But it really is. This is kind of a zero RB build in the purest philosophy of the sense of what zero RB is. It's spending as little draft capital at RB as you can. Even if your first round pick is an RB, there's zero draft capital besides Bijan. Because even Bill is at the flat part of the draft capital curve. If this is an auction draft, you're spending a $1 bid to get Bill, maybe $2, right? So this is we'll call it hero because we have more terminology now, but this is a zero RB build where they took like bully, elite tight end, and elite QB. I'm going to give this one to you first. So they did end up with Braylon Allen. How would you grade this running back room 1 to 4, 4 being the best?
I mean, it's probably a light 2. I think it's hard to give Bijan a 1, so I
Yeah,
would go 2 here.
I'm gonna go 2, and it's mostly because the only running back I like on this team outside of Bijan at price is Braylon Allen.
Yeah,
I'm
Brown's
not in
good.
on the other ones.
Yeah.
Let's see if the chat has any quick takes on. We didn't draft RB in round 10. Maybe it's a Kitchen thing. So we'll put some of the blame on Kitchen,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
at the same time, Kitchen's the best ball, bro. He knows how to draft. He is drafting a lot on DraftKings, so maybe he has some different thoughts around prices and things. Mendoza to McBride, yeah, kind of that contrarian combo. What
That's
is
a
Charles?
sharp
Charles,
point. Yeah.
yeah, like you were saying, if you take Bijan and you don't have Gibbs, you take Pacheco. If you take McBride and you don't have Bowers, you take Mendoza. That's like the anti-logic of that.
Yeah.
Charles is the best ball, bro. He says, I don't mind it. We all don't know who the AZ quarterback will be in weeks 15 to 17. This is true. So I like Mendoza better than Brissett straight up. Yeah, like an auction is how I like to think of the draft capital. If that team wins, I want Keenan Finder's fee. Okay, let's see. Let's keep going. I agree with the 2 on the running back room. So wide receivers are Pickens, Adams, JMO, Michael Wilson. So again, I mean, I know that Brissett's probably not starting, and maybe it's too egregious to go Carson Beck, but you've got 2 of his pass catchers there. Josh Downs you take Cam Ward instead of going for Danny Dimes confuses me. Antonio Williams and Calvin Ridley. So it is stacked. We did reserve the right, but it's just a stack with Calvin Ridley and
Cam Ward.
It's not the sexiest stack. It's pretty cheap. Not a lot of draft capital into it. I like to stack my top players. So like if Pickens or Adams or JMO are stacked, or McBride, the level, or even Bijan, the level of draft capital playing into the stack to me matters, because is Calvin Ridley even playing at the end of the season? Does he get benched for Chimere Dike? Is he playing behind Juan Dale Robinson and of course, Carnell Tate? So where does he fit into the target share there at the end of the season? I draft a lot of Ridley though, so I think it's a fine pick. I'm just not as his best stack. I'm not impressed.
Yeah. We're not counting the stack into the wide receiver grade though, right? Because we already count that into the quarterback grade, or would you count it into both?
I think you can consider it for both, because sometimes it's a double whammy. It does have. We want to double count it the whole time, but
yeah,
I'm gonna say this is not a bad wide receiver room. There's no bye week issues really. I don't think I can give it a 4 because there's going to be better receiver rooms. I give it a strong 3.
Yeah, I was strong to mid 3 on this.
Yeah. I think it's fair. And then they do 2 tight ends, which I think is smart. If you're going to choose the 2, you stop there. You get your guy in Kraft, you get McBride. At the end of the day, I can't hate on the tight end room because of the impact that it had on the rest of the team, because we've already addressed that in the other positional groups.
Yeah.
Myself, when I draft elite tight end, I hate the way my running back room looks, or I hate the way my wide receivers turn out, or it's hard to make it look good. It's not always about looking good though. But when you do McBride and you stop with another tight end and you have a guy like Kraft, I do admit, like I said earlier, Kraft could hit the flex. So I don't hate this. I think this tight end room, I have to give it, I think, a 4, because it's in some regards, it's extremely strong. Yes, you overpaid for Kraft. I was going to dock them for that, but stopping at 2 made sense, and I don't want to dock them too much more for the other positional groups we already addressed.
Yeah, I'm also super high on Kraft personally. Like, I know you said his camp or his news recently has been okay. I would have him super solidly after, Loveland. To me, I have him over Warren. So getting 2 of the top 4 tight ends for me is, that's a great 4. And I hate when people do like 2 elite tight ends and then draft a 3rd tight end later. Nothing tilts me more than that. So I like that they stopped at 2.
I have evolved my thinking on that for both the single position groups over the years. I was much more do 2 quarterbacks if one of them's elite, like Lamar or Josh Allen. Do 2 tight ends if one of them's elite, like it used to be Kelsey, or now it's McBride Bowers. I think what changed my mind over the years is seeing some of the data around the injury rates at QB and tight end. I mean, all these players are getting injured a ton, but taking a 0 at QB is really, really hard to recover from in these pods. And also showing up to week 17, if you make the finals, you could have Bo Nix, or somebody else roll their ankle or do something in week 15 or 16. And now you're ending up with, you have 1 quarterback left. So in my mind, what it comes down to on team builds, it comes down to like, it's not every team I have an elite quarterback. I'll just stop with 2. Sometimes I'll get 3 if I find a great value. Let's say I had Garrett Wilson as one of my top receivers, and then Geno's going super late at the end of the draft. I don't care if I have Drake May and Burrow. I'll tack on Geno at the very end if he's cheap and I already have a stack that it plays into.
Yeah.
And then from the flip side for tight end, it's like maybe I have Trey McBride, and let's just imagine I have another middle guy, like it could be Dallas Goedert, or even a guy like a little bit later, like Hawkinson. If I'm in the last round and I just don't have a better pick at running back, maybe I'm done with 4 or 5 running backs, and maybe my receivers look good too. And it's like, well, the highest floor pick and what gives me more outs in the fantasy playoffs, weeks 15, 16, 17, is having one more bullet in the chamber at the onesie position at tight end, which can be very hard to hit. I mean, if you didn't have Kyle Pitts last year, if you didn't have Kittle, if you didn't have McBride, it's hard to win any tournament or any home league, because those were the tight ends that hit and those were carrying. So in large field tournaments, you need one of those guys most of the time. So just giving one more shot on goal is how I like to think about it. But I think a lot of people do say, they prefer most of their elite ones.
I agree on the 3 quarterback point. Emo, I think, is super big into that too. If you look at like a lot of the math from previous winners, like 3 quarterbacks is really good. For me, for tight end, especially if you're weak at running back, though, I just think it makes sense to stop at 2. And just you have to bet like you're right. Like you have to bet like your tight end room is going to carry this team, because if one of them gets hurt with the running back room that you have, you're probably dead on arrival. So. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, you said it there, and especially on this team where we really didn't like their running backs. Like I would advocate going 6 here. They ended up getting Braylon Allen, which I think is a great pick. Probably one of their best picks. So that's Tony and Kitchen team. There's a 3-6-7-2. The cumulative score between your scoring and my scoring, we both gave them 11s, so they end up with a 22. So that's going to be setting the stage. I mean, a maximal score would be would that be 4 times 4 times 2 would be 32.
Yeah, 32. Yeah.
So I think we kind of gave them like a C, because if the max is 32, then we kind of gave them like maybe even a D. We gave them a 69. Nice. 69%.
That's fair. That's fair that's fair.
So they get 69% of total score, which I don't think anyone's going to get a total score, but we might see some A grades. But we'll kind of release these scores later as well.
Yeah. If anyone's going to get an A, it's going to be this next draft up here with Cups and Max, two of the sharpest analytic bros in the space, up and comers.
Hell yeah! What's up, PPR? How we doing, brother? Good to see you. All right, let's get to this next team, and we'll start zooming through some of them. Not to. I think the more teams we look at, we'll get kind of into our groove. That first team we really wanted to be hypercritical on for 2 reasons. One, it was Tony, who's people are saying one of the show's frontrunners. People are saying, not me. I don't know. I'm being very objective and also polite to my guest, Commish, who I have full faith in and pulling for. But also, he was with Kitchen, which was kind of the alley-oop, right?
Yeah, for sure. And we had to establish our credibility as judges. And I'm speaking more for myself here.
100%. No, we established the credibility.
If we're grading on a curve, this draft better smack with these 2.
Yeah, so interesting start. As you described, you would have started Gibbs, Love, and Trey McBride. That's what the drafter does in the 1 spot here.
What a sharp fella. Yeah, that's a dream start right there.
In this draft, we have Cups and Max. Shout out to Max Value. Speaking of A grades. Yeah, what's up, No Cap? How we doing, brother? So this is gonna be our Cups and
Amon-Ra over Jefferson. Already docking a letter grade for that pick.
What?
That's me. No, that's me personally. I'm huge on Justin Jefferson.
I'm listening. I like him. I like him, but I like Amon-Ra as well. Okay, let's get to their first 3 picks. I'm gonna scoot forward a little bit, and I'm gonna have Commish. He already talked about his Jefferson pick. They're debating. Looks like they go Zay Flowers here. Let me show the board. Oh, not showing the board. Is that? It was Cups. Cups was on the controls there.
Cups was driving.
Cups. He doesn't show the board after the Flowers pick. Let me go ahead until they showed the board next. They go Scattaboo. We're at least judge him on the first 4 picks. Oh no. Cups not showing the board.
Criminal. I'm
Oh,
trying to
there
see what my
for the
guy at the
fifth
one
pick.
spot was doing. He was cooking through 3.
Bro, they never showed the board. Cups, he's slacking on the controls. Good thing we're not judging the controls here. It's just a draft. But okay, let's back it up a few picks. I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt that we could see the board, at least through these top 4 picks. And let's go ahead and get the Lamar in there because we know he stacked it.
Yeah.
Commish, how are we feeling about this team from, what was it, from the 6th spot?
Super sharp stack. Like I love the correlation here. Obviously, getting Henry, Zay, and Lamar. I think that's super strong. I would lean Jefferson over Amon-Ra, but obviously that's like a coin flip at the end of the day. I like Scadaboo a lot. I think he has a ton of upside in the Giants offense. Hopefully they're not a complete disaster this year. So I knew that these two were going to come in hot, and so far this is a great team in my opinion.
This team is fire. I love this team.
Fire.
It's hard to make a team look bad through 5 rounds or even 3 rounds, right? It's you got to land the plane. This team is sick. This is a team I would want in my best ball mania portfolio. You get Lamar Jackson. I unfamously advocated him being the best pick on the board in my challenge where I was eliminated. But with Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers, when I first saw them draft Zay Flowers and Henry, I was like, there's a lot of draft capital into one team kind of early. And, but no, it's a good team. And they have a new coach, new offensive coordinator. Lamar is going to be happier. They can play well. Derrick Henry makes a ton of sense here. It's a huge bet on the Ravens, but team bets, big leans into teams, and team stacking is a thing that we've seen work year over year. And sometimes famously people who, they love the Buffalo Bills, end up winning Best Ball Mania because they just draft players that aren't a good team. They take a lot of those players frequently. So Cam Scadaboo, I love your take there. I think he's a solid pick. I've come back around on him since the injury. I'm a full believer. Cam Scadaboo, he was my second most drafted, second most drafted running back last year, and or maybe just second highest rookie. I had a lot of Jaden Blue. Didn't work out great, but Cam Scadaboo worked out until he got injured. Amon-Ra, I love. Zay Flowers, everyone thinks is a great pick to stack here. This team, through 5 rounds, it's looking like A+ potential. Let's see what they do with it.
Yep. But hey, trust me, Max is a computer as well.
Yeah, definitely. Got 2 analytic best ball bros here. I guess they're trying to be best ball bros. I think both of them are admittedly. No, I know Max is the best ball bro. He admitted to being a best ball bro. I think Cup said he's
more dynasty. He's
more in his dynasty lane.
Yeah.
They get Tyson, which is a dynasty ass pick, but not a bad pick. I think Tyson has some nice fantasy playoffs, and I think he's good. I think the Saints can be fun. So I don't hate that pick.
Not to keep back going to point, but I wish we had the board to see like who they were not picking around these guys. They get Kraft.
They also take Kraft, but they get 8 picks later, so it's not.
Yeah,
it's fine. Let's see. I probably would have gone running back where they took Kraft, but I can't tell because the board's not up. They do get Jaden Reed, so now they're team stacking the Packers. I honestly think Jaden Reed's a little overpriced. How about you?
Yeah, again, I don't really know all the ADPs off the top of my head. I think Reed is fine. Like, I think there's more targets being opened up, obviously, with all the people at left. So same reason I'm kind of in on Kraft. I think their target tree will be a little more consolidated this year. Obviously, they're setting up the stack with Love. So I think that's sharp, like having a lot of strong team correlation. So I guess it makes sense within the construct of the team.
I think it helps for sure. I just think when Matthew Golden is so much cheaper to me, that's kind of where I start to think about it. But
yeah, maybe a running back there instead of Reed would have made sense.
It's not terrible because they do have the strong double anchor with like Henry and Scadaboo. So, and the wide receivers are looking strong as well. So Reed is just not my favorite pick in that range. I just think he's a little expensive for the lack of target earning that he does, but he's kind of explosive. Can we see him healthy? Yada, yada. Ooh, okay. I love this. They were going to go Love, and it was a bit early. They said, let's try to push it. Let's take Jonathan Brooks, which is a very kind of sharp, a pick that's, a sharp pick, a guy who's been rising. It's interesting, right?
Yeah. No, I love Brooks. And if you have 2 of the targets on Green Bay, there's a greater chance, obviously, that Love's going to fall back to you. So I
bet he does. And look, they get Love with their next pick. So they pushed a quarterback that's grade A, best ball strategy right there, best ball bro strategy, pushing a quarterback when you have, like you said, you have the double stack. So I think that's going to look nicely because they get some ADP value. They still get a player they like in Jonathan Brooks. Hey, Rachaad White was still there. Aaron Jones was still there. So they wouldn't have, if they would have taken Love, they could have been okay. But maybe they prefer Jonathan Brooks. I think there's a little more upside with Brooks.
Oh, the board.
Risk.
Yeah.
Oh, you said it. I didn't even realize we're seeing it for the first time. All right. So on Cup's teams, they have a 2-3-4-1 through Jonathan Brooks. Very balanced, not too expensive in any position. They get like the second QB off the board. So it's kind of an elite quarterback build, but they already had 4 skill position players before that. So it's looking very balanced, very strong.
Yeah.
Max says the problem is that Matthew Golden sucks. Also could be true. Could be true, Max. We'll see.
Familiar name here. Bye.
Well, did you hear that audio?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just forgot that we had the ability to actually listen into them and their picks. Maybe we can, as this thing evolves, maybe we'll like see their pick
breaking down. Yeah. I like that.
Well, let's see when they took Love, and we got Max in the chat. Let's see what they think about this sweating out this Love. Because the team before them has no quarterback, and it's like 2 of the teams right before them.
Marion Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, they're up around like 17 points per game. Brooks was nowhere near a prospect like that for being an RB1 in his class. So a little bit hard for me to get there, but nonetheless, we're coming up on 113 here. So Jordan Love, just instant smash, take it to the bank.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Okay. All right. Andrew Biggs in the chat says.
So they got it. Yeah, they're
wow.
cool.
Look at Cups bringing the chat too. What a professional streamer.
Yeah, and then shows the board for the first time in round 10, practically. He's working on it. I like his Bowling Green Fannin. Isn't that a Fannin jersey?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Shout out to Max in the chat. Going with the Jonathan Brooks pick, balling over. Okay, so we're gonna jump ahead. I don't know if they're ever gonna show the board again, but we'll kind of see the picks come through. They go. Looks like they take Mark Andrews. Wow, this is an onslaught, as we like to call it. So when you've got a player from a certain team and the quarterback across every position group, you're doing an onslaught of that team. It's not just a stack. You're saying the Ravens are the best team in football in 2026. It's a Lamar MVP season. Derrick Henry still has the juice. They score the most touchdowns. There's the most to go around. The rising tide lifts all boats. Of course, you're going to want Mark Andrews. The team's putting up, what would a high touchdown total be across 17 games? They're putting up like 80 touchdowns, like a huge number, like absurd, like no one saw it coming, huge touchdown totals. So compared to a team that sucks, like you could argue, let's just say the Raiders, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they put up 45 touchdowns or 40 touchdowns. You're just getting twice as many touchdown opportunities per game on the top best team having a record-setting year. So that's the philosophy in my mind that you're making when you draft this way, which I don't think is wrong. I think it's actually a strong tactic because if you get one thing right, you get everything right.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned like auction earlier, but I know like one of the big DFS strategies last year was shifting to more of like an onslaught strategy when people would have like 4 or 5 players from the same team in a certain slate, and that was plus EV last year. So I think the same thing kind of comes through here. Look, yeah. Let's hear. Yeah, what would you guys grade us 1 to 4 individually in the chat so far? I'd like to hear it.
What's up, Grant? How we doing, brother? Grant's gonna go live right after this show. He's gonna be grading our show, grading the drafts. Yeah. We'll love to see it. It can only get more meta from here. Hey, thanks for being here, Brett. Yeah, BB Frozen. Oh, BB Frozen. We'll be getting to Chosen as well at the end. Okay, we're gonna power ahead. We've seen a lot of their picks. Let's see if we can. They go Travis Hunter. They go Spears. I think Spears is a great pick. I think Travis Hunter's a fun best ball pick. They go Ayuk. They go Samson. These are all solid picks. And that's where they end it. They go Kamara. They go Gesicki. I'm wondering who they're.
They got Surratt too.
Wow, another super onslaught here. Who did they take? Just Love and Jackson, and that was their last pick there, wasn't it? They took Kamara with their very last pick. All right, so let's grade it from here because I don't think we see it again. I want you to start us off with the QB position. I'm going to make my notes on this squad?
Yeah, well, if we were gonna dock the other the last team we saw for their lack of stacking, I think I'm gonna give this one a boost with how well they stacked it. So I'm gonna go, I would give it a strong 3, but I'm gonna bump it up to a light 4 here for me personally.
This is a 4 in my mind. This is a sick quarterback room. You have an NFL MVP. You have Jordan Love, who everyone knows is good. You know, the strongest arm in that class, one of the better quarterback classes we've seen, and is what they were saying when he's coming into the league, right? And yeah, the right amount of draft capital, the right touch, the incredible stacks that we're going to account for here in the QB. Surratt, Derrick Henry, who is technically still able to catch some passes, maybe a touchdown or two. Zay Flowers, the Kraft, and what's his name? Reed. So I like this. I didn't necessarily see. Oh, they have Gesicki. They've got Mark Andrews as well, and Gesicki, which is a bring back. Doesn't hurt. I think it's a good value. It's a player on a good team. Week 17 with the Ravens and the Bengals, and then they don't have any Texans on this squad. I don't think you need any Texans. You could just take the Green Bay Packers and be.
We're not worried about week 17. We're going to beat up every single opponent we see on our schedule. Yeah,
because week 17, you want the Ravens to be the stack you're leaning into,
right?
Because you've invested so heavily. Green Bay is going to help you get there. But yeah, that week 17 game against Houston's kind of that's a tough defense to go up against, right? So, okay, so we both agree 4 there. They have a 2-6-7-3 build, which I think is a very good build type. I would, starting with the running back, you could have stopped with 5. I personally stopped with 5 a lot, but you get Kamara in the last round. It's a great value. Whether or not he's dust doesn't matter. He's a free pick, and you already had Jordan Tyson, so now you're making a team bet on the Saints. We love to see it. Jonathan Brooks is a guy I really like. He was my most drafted rookie when he was coming into the league, but ACLs. Spears is a great value pick. Can't hate on Dylan Sampson. Scattaboo we like. Henry we like. To me, this is a running back room that I like. I knew I was going to like it when I started seeing the first 2-3 picks. I think you could go stronger with your RB3. And I don't want to just give them a 4 across the board. I'm going to be a little bit more critical and give this one a 3. But it's a high 3 from me.
Yeah, for me it's like a mid 3. I think Brooks is pretty fragile. So echoing your point for your RB3, obviously I don't think it matters with how good the rest of the team is. But yeah, it would be like a mid 3 for me.
Yeah, it's a great build, a great team. The wide receivers, I'll let you start us off on how you want to think about these wide receivers and score them.
Yeah, so obviously Amon-Ra off the start, you have Zay. I like Tyson. I mean, I don't know, like I'm a little bit low on this rookie class in general. I like Reed more than you. It makes sense with the stack. Love Travis Hunter. Slap it up, Travis Hunter. If anyone's going to win you everything from where he's going in the draft, it's going to be him. I think Ayuk has had some positive steam lately, so I like buying in there. I think he could rise in value as we get to training camp if more news develops on him. I thought the Surratt pick, I didn't think they needed it with how many Ravens they already had, so I didn't love Surratt, but this is, man, it's again right on the border of a. I'm gonna go 4 here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like this. I like the rookies. I like Tyson. Surratt's fun. Ayuk. Who knows? Maybe it's well worth the risk. Same thing with Hunter. I like him on Zay Flowers, Tyson. I think it's strong. I was thinking whether I wanted to give it a 3 or 4. And I think two things. And first I'll say it's going to have to be a little bit more getting value. They have the very nice stacks. This is a very good wide receiver room, but I don't think this is like a rare wide receiver room. I think this is a wide receiver room that I could draft in my very next draft. So it's common enough, which is not a huge dock. But what I'll say is one of the rules we used to apply, and not everyone, but some of the best ball bros, one of our strategies was you wanted 4 wide receivers through 7 rounds. And that was an old adage we used to say. It's kind of changed. I don't always follow that anymore. But if I think of high draft capital at wide receiver, I want to see 4 wide receivers before pick 75. That's how I think of it now. Some people, it's around there. They have 3 receivers through pick 75. So I truly can't say this is like the most draft capital at wide receiver. Reed goes a little bit after that. But the point is to be able to get 3 wide receivers who are clearly like in the top like 50, 55, or 60. And then you get your 4th receiver on a huge ADP fall. Some guy who usually goes around pick 70 or 69 or 71, and you get him at like pick 85. That is at a critical part in the draft where I think those ADP scoops really matter. It can really pay off. And me being hypercritical, like I said we would be, that's what it would have taken here for me to push this into like a 4-star. So I'm going to give it a solid, very solid 3, and I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then without further ado, the tight end room. How are we looking at that one, Commish?
Yeah, like I said earlier, really love Kraft. Everything in this team just makes sense together. It's just a super cozy team. Like, I feel like I would get off stream and I would just be like, wow, it's like a puzzle. All the puzzle pieces kind of fit together here. All the tight ends are purposeful. You know, you have Kraft and Andrew stacked up, and then you have Gesicki on the bring back. So I think all 3 of them make a lot of sense. I would go 3 here. I'm not like super high on Andrews. I do like Kraft a lot, but if the last one was a 4, I'm going to go 3. look, we're showing you our work. Okay. Come on.
Bro, we're putting the work in. This might have to take 2 episodes just to get through it at this point.
Yeah, it's a 3 for me though.
3 for you. I think it's very solid. I'm going to also give it a 3. Here's what we do. Now we've found our flow. We're getting into it. We can go a little bit faster on a few more, although we do have to give you your time. So that one graded out at a 27 out of our 32 from our scores. That's an 84. So that's a solid, very solid B plus team. But I think it's going to be the one to beat because we're not going to give out like a ton of 4s, I would assume. So this is the top team right now. Obviously we've seen 2, but this is clearly one of the top front runners for.
If you had the duos going into it, these guys would have been minus 400, minus 450 to put the best draft together. So they definitely showed up.
So I will admit I didn't get to watch the entire thing live, and I tried to come back and watch parts of it. What happened here on this first guest? His mic wouldn't work?
God, dude, he could not hear me for some reason. So basically when Pete was in, he could hear me, but then when Pete would exit the stream, he lost me. And so for 12 minutes, we were trying to get to work, and I'm just sitting here like, bro, I'm trying to go. I'm already, but it was funny. And then my boy Ben here, we ended up
you got Ben. What an epic poll.
Okay, I didn't know Ben, but he's a complete chiller. Like, what a guy.
Ben is a legend, bro. There was a bash last year when the bash first started. It was one of the first episodes. And Ben comes on. He's a ship chasing guy. Like he's a best ball bro, but he's a younger dude, and he's kind of explaining how he's newer to the streets. But Pete was asking him like, "How did you get into best ball? How did you get into being a fan of like the best ball bro content?" And his quote that's in like the intro to the best ball bash, he says, "This is gonna be my life." Like he just like loves it. Like he did a few drafts and he's like, this is going to be my life now. Like he's so in. And so I don't know. He's just one of the most genuine guys out there. It seems like, so.
Yeah. I was happy to pull someone that I didn't have a pre-existing relationship with, because again, echoing back to the interview point, it's obviously easier to interview someone you don't know personally. So it was great.
No, I think, So let's jump right into it. You guys are drafting out of the 5 spot, which is a decent spot to be.
Not great for the interview, but yeah, decent spot.
So JSN, let's go through a few picks first, and I'll get your take on. I want you to kind of give me which ones were Ben's picks, which ones were mostly your picks, and how you feel about this start. Because, spoiler, as we get into the first 3 picks, I love this start. But what do you think?
Yeah, so I'll say just off the bat, I know we're going to end up getting an A on this draft, but I was deferring to Ben a lot. I was trying to, Pete usually lets the guest choose. So we were talking through the picks. JSN obviously perfectly cromulent pick there. Achan, loved him. I don't know. I feel like that's a slight falling value for him. Again, I don't know all the ADPs off the top of my head. So it was tough. It was a little tough. I like Bowers a lot right there, but getting Achan there was a smash. And then, as I said earlier, I think Rasheed was someone I was super like. I was like, we got to take Rasheed here. So that pick was me. But yeah, I love this start.
I love this start. I like all these players. Sometimes I take a running back over JSN just to have a better shot at getting a wide receiver I like in the second round. And then
who is your running back 3?
I take JT as my running back 3.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I just like he's one of the best running backs. He's still in his prime. As long as Danny Dimes is healthy, hopefully he will be for the season. I think JT can smash. He was the only player that averaged more fantasy points per game than McCaffrey, asterisk, when Danny Dimes was still healthy. When Danny Dimes was out and Phillip Rivers came in, and let's not count those.
Oh, JT
So,
was getting MVP buzz through like week 6
I know.
last year. He's a generational talent.
It fell off fast. So I'm back on the JT train. I love Achane. Achane's the most explosive runner. He's a killer, dude. He's insane. He's on the Dolphins. They're bad. Whatever. Who cares? He's going to be good.
Do you worry
No.
about him without McDaniel? No.
Nah, not worried at all. Dude's
All right.
super talented. The team could be worse. They score less touchdowns. There's some concern there. The dude is not touchdown driven. The dude gets yards. He gets receptions. He's the best weapon. He's going to get he's going to be a magnet for touches. And the team's just getting worse. Is just them leaning on him more. So he's going to be less efficient, maybe, but he's been hyper efficient his whole career. He's a workhorse. I love Achane in the second round. He's one of my favorite second round picks. And anyways, so Rashee Rice, very nice pick. Let's keep it rolling on this. And then Miss Marilyn was asking, what is a ship chaser? And so ship chasing is one of Pete's shows that he does with Pat Carrane, Davis Maddock, Jacob Sanderson on the Ship Chasing channel. It has their own YouTube channel. And a lot of the best ball bros are huge fans of ship chasing and kind of the legend of ship chasing. And also Sam Sherman was on ship chasing. The legend is
You win.
They win Best Ball Mania. Pat Carrane won Best Ball Mania 3. Sam Sherman, who's also a ship chaser, won Best Ball Mania 6. And so chasing the championship is kind of the play on words there. And it's just part of the best ball bro community is, that channel and that community around that.
Out of our 3 of them, who do you think is going to win next? Davis, Sanderson, or Pete?
I think it might be hard for Jacob because I don't think he's getting the max volume in there. But we saw Sam Sherman win without maxing. I know Davis is getting his max volume in. I think Davis could run hot. Or Pete. I think Pete has the golden touch, but it's one of those Midas touch things where like he can't touch like his own drafts. So
yeah.
I think for the maximum enjoyment and like fun factor, if Davis ships Best Ball Mania, it would be it's already been insane that Sam won, but like Davis winning would just like smash the haters into oblivion. It would be so good.
Oh my God. It would be, yeah. I don't know if you ever watched The League, but it's like when Ruxin won the league and it was like an solar eclipse happened. That would be if Davis won.
We'd never hear the end of it, is what Lou is saying. Anyone. Yeah, Sacrilegious could win, but then we'd all have to like capitulate to the Sims and the robots and the AI overlords. So that might not be good. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. 3 more picks. You guys go Loveland, Tootin, and Harrison. Love it. So these are Ben picks.
Loveland, I think I pushed for, and then Tootin. I'm a VT guy, but Ben was touting Tootin, so I'm always happy to go for my VT guys. And then Marv. That was like a little bit of a tough pick right there because we wanted Caleb to stack with Loveland, so we were like right there, and then Caleb got taken from us, so we had to kind of pivot on the fly. Considered Hurts there, but we ended up going Marv. I think if I had to go back to one spot in the draft where I'm like, damn, like if we had gone Caleb there, I think it would have been, the team would have come together better.
I would 100% agree with everything you said there. Harrison is a good pivot in my mind to get a good skill position player who could have a year 3 breakout. And when he's healthy, he's very effective and good, can have big spike weeks in this range. Obviously, you could have gone Hurts, maybe Drake May. I think he's still available just to get a sexy elite QB, but I don't think it's required. You've got a strong start here. And it helps because you bought into the elite tight end with Colston Loveland that you're still building out the skill position players, so you're not falling behind at the positions that really matter. QB can be made up for a few more rounds pretty easily.
Yep.
So I'm going to jump further ahead. You get Alec Pierce. Are you an Alec Pierce believer or are you not a big believer?
I think out of those guys there, I would have probably been Addison, but I'm fine with Alec Pierce there. I know there's a lot of people are in the downs, but I think Pierce is fine right there. Again, we were I think that was where our team kind of wiggled a little bit because May went, so we knew we weren't going quarterback there. Considered running back, we considered Pollard right there. ended out going Pierce. It's fine.
Okay, gotcha. I go back and forth on Pierce. I wonder if he can actually earn significantly more target share in targets in that offense, because if he does and he maintains a high level of efficiency, he's kind of like a rare player that we always say it's better to have a player who's hyper efficient that needs more opportunity and they get that more opportunity, because then you have like the best of both worlds, versus a player who's terribly inefficient but gets a ton of volume like Alvin Kamara last year. And then like there's no way they ever get better because they're not going to get more efficient. Like that doesn't happen. They've already that wagon's already gone, right? They've already missed that bus.
Yep.
But like you can't even give them more volume. There's no more volume to give. So I think Alec Pierce is a pretty fun risk reward play, but he's so expensive. I wish he was going like a round or two later, and I'd feel better about it because the QBs in this range
I do
are
think
nice.
he should be going closer to Downs, I think, for sure.
I think he could by the end of our draft season. Maybe Downs deserves it. I think Downs can earn the targets. We just haven't really seen him put it all together yet, but maybe it's time to break out year 4.
Yep. And then we hit on a couple of running backs here. So
Yep.
Monungai kind of going with our Leveland bet a little bit. Again, earlier, I think I said Brooks is kind of like an upside swing. So we took him because we were behind at quarterback. We wanted a quarterback that we didn't necessarily have to stack. So we took Willis, someone with a lot of rushing upside. And then, Coker down there. I think a lot of the sharp people in the industry are in on Coker. So super happy to get him as our wide receiver 5.
Yeah, and you get a little team stacking there. You get the Brooks and the Coker. Interesting that you have Malik Willis as your first QB. I take it as my second, or sometimes, like my second QB. I think rarely. He used to go later. He goes a little bit earlier now, but you could sometimes get him as like your third QB, and it's not insane. But how are you feeling when Malik Willis was your first QB here? Did that give you a little bit of a heartburn, or is that you feel okay with it?
I think one of the advantages of getting JSN early is that you can get Darnold later. So I think we knew in the back of our heads the entire time that we were going to be able to get Darnold as one of our quarterbacks. So I think getting Darnold, Willis, and pairing him with a third quarterback is like a fine way to build a quarterback room. I would have preferred to get Caleb Williams or one of the elite guys earlier, but as we're kind of, if quarterback's going to be our weakest position and we're building it from the back, like Willis has upside and you don't need to stack him with someone early for him to make sense. So I think that was kind of the thesis behind that pick.
If I'm in this draft at this very moment, in my back pocket, I go, okay, I want to get Sam Darnold next. If not, I still can get Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones with Alec Pierce stacked. If not, I can still get Bryce Young with Coker and Brooks team stacked. So you've got a lot of outs. So this is, I would not be too afraid in this position. I think you guys are building a pretty strong team here. Let's see how you land it. Let's go to those last couple picks. You do get Darnold. You do get Bryce Young. And then you go Bigsby, Stribling, Dulcich, right? You're stacking up the tight end. And then you get Malik Washington. And then your last pick, I don't know if you showed the board.
Our last pick was a bit of a bit. So Neil Farley went home, so we took Pat Bryant for Neil.
I don't hate it.
To him. So,
I don't hate it at all. So this team ends up being a 3-5-8-2. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. I think I don't know. Can I trust you to honestly score your own team? I think we can.
Yeah,
I think
I'll be super honest.
because it's mostly Ben's team too. So this is a different segment than the interview grading. This is the draft grading. Let's be brutally honest.
I'll
Willis
start.
and HN score. Okay, starts with the QBs. How do you feel about these QBs?
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Willis. I think this is a very fragile quarterback room. I do like that we got 3 quarterbacks, so hopefully one of them can hit on a given week. I would be between a 2 or a 3 here, but for the sake of objectivity and comparing it to the quarterback rooms we've seen, I would give it a 2 without one of those elite anchors at the position.
That's fair. I honestly, I don't want to because they had the Jalen Hurts QB room in the first team. We gave that a 2. I honestly am leaning 3, and I'll explain why. First off, you have an onslaught with the Dolphins. Some people would hate that because they're the worst team in fantasy. We don't know until we know. We don't know if the Dolphins are going to be the worst team. Maybe they're a middle of the pack team. Maybe they're just okay. Maybe Malik Willis is a guy. Maybe he's a real dude. You have Malik Willis, Achane, you had Dulcich, you had Malik Washington, who for all we know could be their wide receiver 1 until he's not. And he's trying to compete for that spot. So super stacked up with the Dolphins. I don't mind it. I think in best ball, it's less about specifically, oh, the Dolphins are the worst team. It's getting good values and it's making big correlated team bets. Even if it's the worst team, you're still getting a good value on those players. They're still going to be on the field, so I'll say that. And I think Malik Willis could be fun for the spike weeks. Darnold and Young are very nice values. They go later. They're stacked up and they give you a solid floor for a lot of weeks. Where let's just say Malik Willis doesn't have maybe he has 0 passing touchdowns. I think Darnold or Young could get you 1 or 2 in a given week and fill in. So I think it's spread out nicely. I'll give that a 3 because I like the stacks and I am compensating with the stacks. And I'm also not grading purely on the talent of the QB room. If I was, the Jalen Hurts room would be better. But this room is stacked better and it's more thoughtful and you didn't spend too much draft capital and you made it work. You saved the team with it. So I would have liked Caleb, like you said. But I think this is a totally fine QB room. If I had this QB room, I would not be too worried. I'd be hopeful that Malik Willis is a stud.
Yeah, we're going to be tuned in at 1 o'clock Eastern for a lot of these games because not a lot of primetime games for the teams we stacked, but we'll be tuned in. Running back here, would have liked to get a 6-1 probably instead of Bryant. If we weren't doing a bit, I would have gotten a 6 running back in the last round. So that would lower it a little bit for me. I would probably give this like a light 3. If I went down on the quarterback, I'll go up a little bit here at the running back position. So I'll boost us up to a 3 here. I really like Achane. I think Tootin has a lot of upside. I actually really like Brooks and Tank Bigsby. Bigsby, #, not rooting for injuries, but if there is an injury, I think he's one of the best bets to really step in and be one of those top 10 running back handcuffs. So I think it's a fine running back room. I wish we had a 6-1 would be my big thing here.
I'm good with stopping with 5 here. I think these are 5 good enough. You're going to need the Bears to be a super duo tandem, but I think it's possible. We saw a little bit of it last year. Jonathan Brooks is an important piece, but Tootin and Achane need to carry, and you've invested in them with the draft capital. That's your case. So I think you're really just looking for a guy to hit your flex between Monagai, Brooks, and Bigsby every week. So I think I give this a solid 3. I think it's like I would give it a low 3, but I think it's a solid 3. Like I'm not going to be worried. Let's see the other positional groups. We want them to be smashes. How do you feel about these wide receivers?
Wide receivers a 4 for me. I'm being objective. This is smash. I love them. I love Rashee Rice. I just can't see a way. Once I know he's out of jail now. I think if we get some positive camp reports, I think he's going to go mid to early second. Like getting the value on him, I think he's like, if I were drafting volume right now in best ball, I'd be trying to get him on as many teams as I could. I like Marvin Harrison a lot this year. Al Pierce is fine. I really like Coker. Stribling, I made my whole case on Stribling during the draft today, but I just think anytime the coach and the GM reach on someone, they have an incentive to use them. When Trey Lance was picked, I know it didn't work out in the end, but in the preseason, Shanahan was drawing up like trick plays and double moves to make sure he looked good. I think Stribling is going to get some touches early in the season to prove himself. Washington stacks up, and then Pat Bryant in the last round. But I think it's a deep wide receiver room, and I think we have 2 really elite guys to carry us.
I like it. I think I'll give it a 4 as well. I'll give it a low end 4, but it's JSN, it's Rashee Rice, Marvin Harrison. There's a year 3 breakout case. Alec Pierce, I've already talked about. Jalen Coker, look what he did against the Rams in the playoffs. Smash, super high ceiling, explosive player. Stribling, draft capital, fun, good team. Malik and Pat Bryant. Maybe, honestly, I'd be cool still with the 5 running backs. I'd probably trade out that Pat Bryant last pick for a tight end, but that's kind of like it's here or there. I don't really know what we're going to need to win exactly, but I just think what I do in the majority of my drafts, I would describe. But I think you're right. Now, that's a really strong wide receiver room. It's going to be hard to get another wide receiver room that strong. If you just think about JSN and Rashee Rice carrying, it makes a ton of sense. Colston Loveland and Dulcich, you get the 2, you get the elite. I think because you have Colston Loveland and I think Dulcich stacks well, I think you give it. I give it a solid 3. But you make a case for anything higher than that.
No, it's definitely a 3 here. I think Dulcich is a fine tight end too, but you're really, you really have to lean on Loveland here to kind of carry the tight end room. So that's not the comfiest position to be in without a third fallback right there. So I think it's a 3, but I really do like Loveland this year. I think he has a chance to be really amazing. So yeah, I like it. It could be a little stronger though.
Maybe with some depth, but honestly, there's nothing I can really hate on with this one. So you guys end up with a 25 out of 32. It's a 78, which is 2 points lower than the 27 we gave the Cubs and Max team. But I think this is also a best ball team that like I would like in my portfolio, one that I would be looking to draft. It's very similar to how I like to draft my teams. You'll weight it at QB, but I think it's still strong enough in all the other position groups. Like there's no weakness on this team. It's pretty well rounded and balanced. And then you just need your QBs to kind of get there for you. Okay, we're on to the next team. Any final thoughts on this team you drafted with Ben?
No, I thought it was a super fun team. We weren't like focused on the draft, so I think being focused on the interview and still getting a good team on the back end was a good treat at the end to look back on.
Love it.
Excited to see what Nathaniel does here. Yeah, I have no idea what the first 3 teams, I kind of had an idea of how they went. I do not know how the next 2 teams went at all.
We've got Nathaniel and Tart, and I wasn't familiar with Tart's game. I don't know if he's just another viewer. I don't think I've come across him before, but he's an Aggie, which is fine. I have an Aggie. You know, I have Aggies in my extended family. I live here in Texas. I went to UT Austin, so I'm a Longhorn, of course, and I don't even think about the Aggies. They don't cross my mind on a daily basis, but they like, you know, their entire existence is just to punch up at Big Brother, which is Longhorn.
Little bro.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think of them as they're not little bro. They're like the kid down the street that we don't even think about. Little bro to me is like OU. You know, so A&M, I could really, you know, I don't even think twice about him. But I preface all of that with saying he had a lot of Aggie takes like the entire time. Anytime there's a Longhorn player, he'd be like, boo. Anytime there's an Aggie player, he'd be like, yeah, which I thought was so on brand and funny. But no hate. I don't know anything about Tart, and he seems like a nice guy. And half of my friends are Aggies, so I just know how they are. They're an odd bunch. Let's get into the team. I'm excited to look at Nate's team. I did catch a little bit of this live, but you know, this was a very long stream earlier today, so
you weren't locked in for 5 straight hours in the middle of the day?
No, I had some things I was doing as well, but I think I saw the beginning, or no, you know what? I came in at the middle. I came back to the stream and it was in the middle. Let's take a look at this start. Amon-Ra at pick 8. Nice. Derrick Henry in the second round. Nice. And Travis Etienne, as he says officially called, but I still think of him as Etienne, right? Commish, how do you like this start with anchor wide receiver and then 2 like kind of stud running backs?
Can you sell me on Etienne? Like, yeah. I don't know. Here I would be really hard on. I would be T over him. I would be Lad over him. I might be Neighbors over him as well. I don't like him at cost. So do you have any thoughts on him?
I like the Saints just fine. I think he can show spike weeks. He's definitely the workhorse. He's definitely going to get a ton of work. I think they're phasing Kamara out pretty quickly, and they're only keeping him around because he's been a lifelong Saint. Achane was super inefficient last year and bad. Maybe he can be a little bit better with a full year of Shuck, second year Shuck, but I think they bring in Achane to, you know, be that guy and replace him. And I think he's shown that in Jacksonville. So he goes from a good, you know, team last year in Jacksonville being kind of their focal point to being a similar guy like that for the Saints. He, over the season long, he was decent. He was averaging about 14.5 fantasy points per game, weeks 1 through 17. But where he really kind of stepped up was down the stretch. Weeks 9 through 17, he was averaging 16.5 fantasy points per game. And he was operating more like a top running back. And he had a 30-point spike week in the second half of the season. And then from a number of snaps played percentile, he was 86th percentile in number of snaps played among skill position players last season. So he is like on the field a ton. Like, and I guess that was relative to running backs, I think is what I had for my percentiles. So he is like getting a ton of work. I think that continues. If I can say you on HN, it's just that, yes, it's kind of expensive to where we maybe drafted him in the past. But if you just look at him objectively, you're getting a workhorse running back in the third round who's on what we think is like a decent team. Then that's kind of my case for him. And he's not going to be splitting. I think Kyron is actually going to be splitting more work with Corum than
yeah.
Achan will be splitting with Kamara.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the 2v2 is there. Like, if they had gone T and whatever running back they could get in the fourth versus Etchen and then whatever wide receiver they end up getting. So, yeah, pretty familiar start from the first and second round, but I'm good to move on.
Goomba says Tart came off as a sharp drafter and drafted most of the team. I mean, I'm glad that he's a sharp drafter. That's
about. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm giving him some crap for wearing, his maroon and being a total Aggie on stream, but it's okay. I won't say any more about that. I caught a little bit of it. I did like I think there were some players they both agreed on and some players they maybe even disagreed on a little bit, but I'd have to rewatch the stream to, get more details on how their dynamic played out. But okay, let's jump ahead. So we're not grading the interview, we're grading the draft. I think Pete was steering this one. But it looks like then they go Jacobs and Tate, which I think are great picks. Jacobs is one of my most drafted players right now. Are you afraid of the suspension, or do you think suspensions are fake?
Suspensions are fake.
Suspensions are fake. It's sad. I hope nothing
ever happens. Nothing ever happens.
I hope there's no substance to the allegations, but this is not, draft the nicest person. This is draft fantasy points.
There's no efficacy in fantasy football. All right.
Unfortunately, yeah, exactly. And so we're not here to grade that. Marvin Harrison, we talked about why we liked him in other drafts in your draft. I think through the first 6 picks, I really like this team. I love that they got Jacobs. I think Jacobs should still be going in round 3, if not like the beginning of round 3. Tate is a super fun upside pick. I think he's going to be a target hog on the Titans immediately. Marvin Harrison, we made the case for. So I like the way they're cooking this team. They go Sutton, which I was out on, or first I was in on, then I was out on. I'm back in on Sutton. I think Waddle does become the alpha there, but I think Sutton's a fine pick. Downs, I know you've talked up a little bit. You like Downs. Let's kind of see where this one goes. Jackson Dart. So
interesting.
I have, and honestly, that's a really big fall in Jackson Dart. That's a great value, and it makes it so Dart usually goes where they took Downs. And I have been drafting a good amount of Dart because I think he's a guy you don't have to stack. But if you've got him with Malik Neighbors or Cam Scadaboo, it's pretty fun. You don't have to have him stacked. He's kind of like I don't know what we would call him. You could call him like the rushing upside, and then you hope that the passing kind of continues to develop is kind of what his floor is. So there's some other, we say like Konami code quarterbacks who have the rushing upside. I think Dart really fits into that mold, and he's a young guy in the league, so he'll continue like rushing when he's not going to check down. He's like, oh, I see an open lane. He's going to like try to get that first down. He's a gamer. He's going to try to win the game. And so anyways, let's jump ahead. So far, this team's very solid. I love the Rachaad White pick as an RB4 on this team.
I hate that Sanderson came out with like his 42% or where Rachaad White, because White has been my favorite running back in this range the entire time. Like, I'm not even a best ball, bro. And when I was hopping on my first drafts, I was always saying, why is Rachaad White going so low? I love Rachaad White this year.
I remember you talking about him on stream recently and making a case for him. Yeah, he is a great pick in this range. As an RB4 on this team, I would personally, unless they have a big bye week conflict, which I don't see that they have, I would stop at 4 running backs. I'd be cool with that. I build a lot of teams like that this year. You could get a 5th if you tack them on at the end. The way they attacked running back early, wide receivers in the middle, got a great value on QB, and then came right back to running back. To me, this is looking very good.
Yep. You can get Likely too at tight end. Andrews is fine. Don't love Andrews, but
it's funny you said that. I'm kind of out on Likely, but I think you can stack him with Dart. It makes sense. But I even find myself like not really drafting as much Likely. I just feel like he's been a small role player on a team that was really good. Now he goes to a team that's like not as good, and he's expected to be a big role player, but Theo Johnson's still there, and he's still really good, and he blocks in line, and he can get open in the red zone. He's got good chemistry with Dart. So it's just, I don't know. With Likely, I'd still think back to that touchdown where his toes were out against the Bengals.
My God. Yeah.
So it's like maybe that's just imprinted in my mind that I'm just like, I see the upside, but I can't get there when I look at like his his box score.
I do like that. I do like that Harbaugh brought him over though. Like to me, that's always a data point in the back of my head. Like he definitely went out purposefully to get him. So maybe he sees some untapped potential that they weren't able to tap into in Baltimore.
That's a good point. I didn't really think that through until you just said it again. They go Andrews, which I think is good. Daniel Jones, I think, is one of the sharper late QBs. And then Trey Tucker, I think, is also a great pick. Super high ceiling. He was the second highest scoring wide receiver in the league last season behind Puka with his spike week. I think it was week 5 where he put up 40 points. Only Puka scored more than that with 43 in a single game week ceiling. So Trey Tucker can get it done. And he's a veteran. He's the top right now receiver on his team. So I think it's a super savvy pick. We all kind of see it. He gets 100% drafted, but I like it. They go Juwan Johnson. I remember them mentioning that pick.
Yeah.
I think it's totally fine here. We're going to jump ahead. They take Samson. Seems fine.
PPR. Yeah.
Yeah. PPR with the Hera was just like too good to be true.
What a dream.
Shout out to Lou.
Washington.
Brissett. Ooh. That's where I'm not sure why they did that. I guess, do you want to see what they say about this Brissett pick?
Yeah. I mean, they have Marv.
I think you know where I'm leaning.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, I'm like, I think I want to give you some time to think about that. If it's
if Brissett's there, I think we have to go. Yeah, let's go Brissett. Just to get that third quarterback. He's probably going to play some next year, and we got him stacked up with Marvin.
Yeah, and if like Trey McBride's going to get his, if Jacoby can support Marvin and Trey McBride, he's probably good enough that the Cardinals aren't awful.
Yeah.
And that he may actually be starting at the end of the season.
I mean, he put up numbers last year. It wasn't pretty.
So I think fair points. The fact they have Marv makes sense. I looked.
What would you give the percent chances that Brissett is starting in week 17?
I think it's 0.
Like they're going to be bad. They want to see what they have in Carson back. Like I don't know. I just really can't see a pathway for Brissett to be starting late in the season. So that's why I don't know. To me, I'm not going to say it's undraftable, but when you already have 2 quarterback, I don't know. He's not my favorite third quarterback pick.
I can see both sides. I don't mind it because they did kind of take some later QB approach. And so, they get that third. He's practically free, and they really don't need anything else in this draft. Their other positions are nice. Maybe you could argue for getting a better tight end there, but like Ferguson goes, Stowers goes. So I'm thinking it was getting pretty thin at late tight end, and it didn't make a difference whether they took it in the 17th or 18th round. I think Brissett can pay off if he hits your lineup 2, 3, 4 times in the season at this price. It doesn't have to be week 17. It would be nice if it was. If you show up to week 16, 17, you make it there, and it's the Best Ball Mania finals, and Brissett's on the bench, you have a dead roster spot. That hurts. End of story. But I think it's not the worst pick. And maybe he gets there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I personally do think, I looked at the Mike Clay projections. The Cardinals are not favored in a single game all season. I think he has them projected for like 2 wins. And that's because they're projected for 0 wins straight up, but you assume they're going to win more than 0 because that never happens. So like, they're going to be somewhere between 2 to 5 wins, best case. And that is bench material for your QB. And that's going to be pretty damning for Brissett, who's been a career journeyman. So the odds that he doesn't start 17 games is like, he's never started 17 games in his career. Pretty high. So I would say, yeah, we're going to see at least a game of Carson Beck and probably 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Billy says, how many weeks do you think Brissett starts or hits their roster? So hits their roster. God, I wish I had better data. And Billy, let me know what you think. But given they have Dart and Jones, I would bet Brissett could hit their roster twice before he gets benched.
That was why I had 2. Yeah.
Assuming he gets benched at like week, and their bye is, I can't think of it right now. The Cardinals, we'll look at it on the next loading screen. The Cardinals bye, I think it's a bit later. It's week 14. Yeah, I was like 12 or 14. So I think Brissett is not there week 15, 16, and 17. So at least,
yeah.
So I mean,
that sounds like if they haven't made the switch, then that sounds like a perfect time to give Beck the bye week and then bring him in. Looks like they're going tight end in week 18.
What's up, Meg? Shout out. How we doing? Good to see you. Oh yeah, I thought they already finished their team. Let's get their last pick in here. They go Washington. Darnell Washington, kind of a fun pick. Karain talks up Darnell Washington a lot. I don't see anyone else really drafting him very often. I haven't really clicked him myself yet. but I'm aware that he's a refrigerator-sized man. Actually, he's 2 refrigerators stacked on top of each other. He's a mountain of a man. So let's see what they said about this pick real quick.
It's gonna win us this heat. And to get that week 17 stack with him, it's gonna win us this match. But Darnell Washington, Carnell Tate stack. That's what
Let's
you're gonna
go. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, Jonnu Smith is out of there. And he is a big boy.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tart. It seems like Tart and Nathaniel is being the interviewer, of course. Tart was pushing a lot of his player picks and player takes on this one, but I think it is a good team, kind of like Goombas was saying. Let's quickly grade this team. Commish, let's rapid fire run through these. What do you think? So this is a 3-5-7-3 build. I want you to hit up the QBs for me.
Yeah, for me, this is a solid 3 at quarterback. I like Dart, as you said. I like having quarterbacks that can win both through the air and on the ground. Daniel Jones does that as well. I don't like the Brissett pick, so that's lowering it for me. I give it a light to a mid 3.
I give it a strong 3. I agree with your take. I don't love Brissett. I don't think it hurts this team. It could add value. I'm interested to see what Billy Jones says about how many games he thinks Brissett hit their lineup. But I think Dart and Daniel Jones can get it done. So I give it a solid 3. Let's jump ahead now to running back. They go Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs, Rashad White, and then Dylan Sampson was the last one. I honestly am going to give that a 4. That is a killer running back room.
I like Rashad White as my RB3. So to get him at RB4 and have 3 solid workhorse running backs, that's the easy 4 for me. Definitely the strength of the team.
From wide receiver, I'm going to be honest here. I think this is also very strong. Amon-Ra, Tate, Harrison, and Sutton. Where I was being a bit of a hater on Jaden Reed, I actually do like Sutton at his price, and I think he's a stronger pick than Jaden Reed. Just a quarterback, an offense that's throwing a little bit more than the Packers have traditionally. He does get the competition from Waddle, but Sutton's been a target earner. He's been earning like over 100 targets for years and over 1,000-yard receiver. I think even in a role where he's like 800 yards, he can still he's a red zone presence. So I think Sutton brings this very nicely together as a wide receiver 4. Josh Downs stacked up is nice for that wide receiver 5. Tucker's nice. Malik. The only thing I'll say, I guess, is if for whatever reason Carnell Tate has a slow start, you might, but then you have Cortland Sutton and as your floor.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I still think this is, to me, I think this can be 4 territory. I think it's a very, very low 4 territory. Like there could be stronger, but I would give this a 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it's a deep room, but I'm not in love with Tate as the wide receiver 2 there. Okay. I think it's a good room, but yeah, for me it's a 3. Nothing more to say there.
And then tight end, Mark Andrews, Juwan Johnson, 2 guys that have been good for many, many years. Darnell Washington, kind of a fun upside pick, but pretty low floor, but maybe he has some nice spikes or maybe he gets a big week when you need it. I think it's not an elite. We've been giving higher scores to a lot of the elite rooms. It's not stacked in any way. I think this is just like an average. This is like a 2.
Yep.
You think like a 2?
Yeah, concur. I don't like Andrews, so when I don't like the tight end 1, yeah, it's gonna be tough to be a 3 or a 4. Still waiting on our first 1 grade of the night. If I had to go back, maybe I'd give that first running back room a 1, but yeah,
I know it's hard. It's hard to give out a 1. I'd be a hater. I'm not that much of a hater, but I could try. MKE, what's up, brother? He says if Jacoby is starting week 15, what a playoff schedule. Jets, Saints, Raiders. Hey, you're not wrong. And sometimes it's Jacoby who gets you there. Even if he's benched, Marvin Harrison still goes off against those teams. So like this team can still hit in those ways. It's kind of a correlated bet. Very strong, 25 out of 32, which is tied for our second highest score of the night. We're going to rapid fire through these last picks. Commish, I know you said you might have to go soon. Good. You're good to stick around? Okay, brother. No pressure.
I love though, this is our 4th straight time saying rapid fire. We're just not a rapid fire crew out here. We got to show our work.
Yeah. We never are. O'Hara and PPR. This is the squad that's been streaming together for literally the last 3 weeks straight, it feels like. What are the odds?
Yeah, grading on a curve here. I'm expecting a lot from these 2.
Max
What
saying
pick
he's
did
not a fan.
what pick did they end up getting?
Oh, just the 5 spot.
Oh my God, not in their 5 team.
It seems like there's been a few in the middle because yours was a
Ooh.
5, wasn't it? You with JSN,
Yeah,
and the last team we just saw was an 8 with the
so we've
Mon
seen
Raw.
2 8s, 2 5s, and a 1.
Which is interesting to keep track of. Let's power ahead through their first couple picks. This is Pete on the board again. Interesting. I wonder how they decided if it was going to be Pete or if it was going to be one of the.
We got to decide that going in if we want Pete to drive or not. So some people are in states that you can't have underdogs. That was the reason why. Yeah. I like McCaffrey a lot, I guess. There, I would probably have JSN and Taylor over him. But
Sure.
I it's
I
fine.
agree. I think it's fine though. It's the second most polarizing debate in the first round. The first one is, are you Gibbs or Bijan? And actually, someone goes Puka at the 2 spot here.
3? Yeah, wow.
So the 3 is a great spot for Bijan, but also the way he goes, Puka love Brees Hall. I see it. I don't love Brees Hall that much. I've gotten burned before, and I'm not willing to get hurt again with the Brees Hall and the Jets as much. I would want him to fall to like the end of the 3rd, beginning of the 4th round. But love here with Puka and the 2 RBs. Like, this is what you do. If you're going to pivot and go, actually, it's Puka Nacua you need this year, then you hammer the running backs the next 2 picks. So I see the vision. It makes sense, but wow.
Yeah,
and then look, Lad McConkey gets pulled up to pick 27. That's like a whole round early.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a wild room.
So it's wild, but it's not crazy. And the drafter who does it has a green badge, which means he's like the second most experienced drafter on the entire site. I think it's like 50,000 drafts or something crazy. He has Bijan at 3, which is great. Rice, who we love, and he takes McConkey, who plays the Chargers in Week 17. So he's doing something a little bit tricky there. It's Best Ball Mania. Get your guys. So McCaffrey, London, Smith. I can't. So McCaffrey, in or out, is the second most polarizing choice in the first round. It's first, it's Bijan or Gibbs. Second, it's are you in or out on McCaffrey? I'm slightly out because the age concerns, the touch concerns. I drafted a ton of McCaffrey in the big board pre-NFL draft best ball, but I've come to the light doing more like data analysis into it. I think I'm more interested in JSN and Taylor, like you said, and I put McCaffrey closer to Amon Ra.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like Devontae Smith though. I feel like that's a little bit of falling value where they got him.
Could be good.
So I like that a lot. London is a fine pick. That's a PPR Falcon pick right there. So
yeah, it's a good pick. Let's jump ahead to the next few picks they make.
Loveland.
While the stream loads, it looks like they go Loveland, they go JMO, which is funny because then like the Bears and the Lions play Week 17. That's kind of a fun matchup, and they get Caleb with the Loveland. So they're anchoring to CMC, and then they've got a bunch of explosive receivers and an elite tight end. This is a pretty fun start. It's a little bit expensive with both Caleb and Loveland, but that's kind of how it goes when you draft those two.
This is a flashy ass team right here.
It's flashy. I like the Pollard pick. I think it adds a good floor to the running back room. Purdy, I would question there. I think it's a little early.
Yeah.
I would have gone running back or even kept going receiver. I think it's a little early to double tap QB when you take Caleb in the 6th, you get Purdy in the 8th. Maybe they'll be done at QB though, or they'll get a great value later. But now they don't give themselves the option. I guess they said, okay, Hurts is gone. They don't give themselves the option to take Goff at a reasonable price. And I guess they're not going to take Tua or Penix later, but they still could if it's the last round. It wouldn't hurt. So we'll just see what they do, but a little bit too early on Purdy for my liking. And then they get Harold Fannin, which I think is kind of a bad pick, and not because of who he is. It's because they already had
London, you already have Loveland, and you only have 2 running backs so far,
So you have 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends before you have your 3rd running back. That is going to hurt your team, and they both kind of know it. I think PPR knows it. I wonder why. Let's see who makes the Fannin pick. Is this an O'Hara thing, or is this? I'd be really surprised if it's PPR saying Fannin.
It was always for the tower. It was always for those eyeballs we were gonna get. And I knew fucking Pete wanted me to do it. He wanted that clip. I knew he wanted it. So exactly. So this is what I'm saying, dude. I know all this fucking guys. Let's make it.
They might have missed this pick.
They did. They did miss the pick.
They missed.
This is the pick they missed.
I think I like Fannin and just being done at tight end.
Ugh, I don't.
See, I was like, there's no way PPR. Oh, they didn't miss
You're
it.
in on the Browns, but you're not in on Fannin.
No,
Who are you thinking then?
Go. Oh shit! I don't even know
Brooks?
the clock is this. Go
Brooks.
Jacoby.
All right,
Yep.
Jacoby.
All right, fine. We got Fannin.
Yeah.
If the guy driving the draft would have shown the clock, I could have made a better informed decision. But it's okay.
We timed out. We can't hear you, Pete. We can't hear you. bud.
You are on thin fucking ice.
That's good. That's a clip right there. That's so good.
I love
man.
Pete's little hovering little circle. That's a good bit. Yeah, that's kind of brutal to miss a pick in a draft.
Man. And then you get Aaron Jones as your RB3. I don't hate it. It's the way I would go. You can recover, but I wish he was the RB4.
Yeah, I'm guessing they.
Oh no. What is this?
Oh, they were rolling the last one.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. For
Yeah.
a second there, I thought Pete accidentally switched tabs and they didn't realize he was like typing a password in. But as soon as you said it, I was
Coker,
like,
that was minus 800 that PPR took Coker.
oh yeah, easily. Well, you've seen PPR streams. You know what happens when he takes Coker, right?
The clip.
Have you heard the nickname for your fans?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
I'm just a cokehead, dude. Out of context, that's crazy, but I'm a cokehead.
Yeah.
The clip. Oh man. if it wasn't almost 2 hours into the stream, we could sit there and just probably deep dive into a lot more of these picks and kind of their take on them. But I think that one we both knew it was coming. Yeah. Then Chosen goes. Okay. Tucker.
I like Stribling.
I
Yeah.
don't like C-Rod. I don't love that pick. I think I saw my also, except for a few running backs, and at the right price, I really don't like anyone kind of like I said after that Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, Brooks area. Like I really don't like these guys. They're just I don't think they're going to matter, and I don't think they're good enough. Spears is one that I'm cool with. I don't mind Tank Bigsby. I don't mind Brian Robinson. Sampson's fine as an RB5. Like I don't mind him, but I want all of these guys to be your RB5 and none of them to be your RB like 3 or 4. And this is Rodriguez is like his RB4 here. That scares me. Tucker's fine. Stribling's fine. That's not like the problem with this team. The problem is going to be the running back room. Because they started off with CMC, they felt comfortable, but then they kind of pushed it a little bit too far. Because Pollard being your RB2 is also, it's okay, but it's not ideal.
No.
Robinson, like think about your redraft team. If you're in your redraft team, if you have like, okay, I've got CMC and then Pollard, then I've got Jones, and I have to think about starting him, and then I have C-Rod. When are you ever going to start C-Rod?
Yeah.
Never?
Yeah. That's definitely a redraft. Like you're like, I just need something from my running back room to push me through. Mendoza here.
And like I remember this. So last year I did FFPC, which is like some of the high stakes redraft.
Yeah.
And I did a big gorilla. It's like a $350 team. I co-drafted it with Hartman. And 1 week we had to start Brian Robinson, who was the backup running back on the 49ers. And he gave us like, he had just come off 2 weeks where he had like touchdowns consecutively or something. And we had a bunch of buys. We start him in our flex and he puts up, I think it was either 1.7 or 2.7 points. And I'm just like, dude, because we drafted a 0 RB team and Scadaboo got injured. Scadaboo got injured and the whole thing crumbled.
Yeah.
It gets bad. Emmett Johnson, I kind of hate that pick. Fancy 0.
And how they end it.
Brazil, which I think is he's fine, right? It's a rookie pick. It's fine. It's
This is an interesting team. Yeah. I don't
love this team.
I don't like this. Yeah. I'm not in love with it. Quarterback room. Is Mendoza stacked with anyone?
They got Trey Tucker.
Okay. I liked how they started with going with the Bears and the Lions, and then they kind of went away from it. But I liked it early on. Quarterback room, to me, this is like a pretty solid 3.
Yeah, I think I kind of wish they didn't take Mendoza because they took Williams and Purdy. So I'm going to dock them on that one. I'm going to be hypercritical. I'm going to give this a 2. because I think they should have just stopped with Caleb and Purdy. And I do think they took Purdy too early. It's good they stacked him with CMC. They got Stribling later, I thought, right? So there's some stacks there. Caleb is only stacked with Leveland, but it's hard to stack him with more than one pass catcher. Not really the problem. Mendoza there. So I think, let me think about that. Do I really want to be that critical? No, I think you're right. You said 3. I think I do. I'm going to give them a low 3. I think 2 is the wrong answer because they do have 2 really usable quarterbacks. And if Mendoza is like a rookie year Stroud, then that actually this can be pretty solid all around.
Yeah. I agree. Running back room.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah. I don't love McCaffrey, so he's obviously he's good. He's a first round pick, but this is a light 2.
It's a 2. This room sucks. It's McCaffrey.
It's
kind of like the first team that we saw Tony and Kitchen draft where they had Bijan and they waited too long. This one, they at least got Pollard and Jones, but then I really don't like the Emmett Johnson pick or the C-Rod pick. I think they got a little bit of value on those guys, but it's not the point in the draft where value starts to matter anymore. It's like if you get Chris Rodriguez at pick 140 and his ADP is 128, to me, that's like going from a $1 auction bid to a $1 auction bid. Like it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
It's flat
for sure.
It's flat. So it's Drake London. I'm kind of surprised they went if they would have gone Penix or Tua with their last pick over Mendoza. I kind of think it would have been better. So that's why I was almost giving them a 2. They get Smith, Jamo, Coker, Trey Tucker, Stribling, Brazell. They have 2 Panthers pass catchers. They didn't stack it with, Bryce.
Yeah, this team just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like their individual positional scores might be high, but as a collective unit, this is kind of like all over the place.
It's a little bit all over the place. Yeah.
It's a 3 for me for the wide receiver room. It's hard to give a low score. I do like their top 3 a lot. I like Jameson a lot as like when you get him as your wide receiver 3 and he's going to have those spike weeks. I think you have a lot of, you're going to have some large wide receiver weeks. So yeah, it's a 3, not quite a 4.
I agree. I think it's a 3. I think it's like a light 3. It's okay. It can work. London needs to be a guy. We need Devonta Smith to take a huge step forward. So Jamo, we haven't really talked too much about him yet. He outscored Amon-Ra in fantasy points from weeks 9 through 17 down the stretch. He was just a little bit better.
When Dan Campbell took over, people forget the first OC in Detroit last year didn't know how to use Jameson Williams. If you made me say like true talent level, I think Jameson Williams might be a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. I think he
could be
unbelievably talented. If he came out, and he came out, he obviously had the suspension. He came in off a torn ACL when he was drafted. Like he had such a clown show start to his career. But he's so uber talented. The offense is really good. I know Amon-Ra, like they have so many weapons, which is really to his detriment. But I do think there's going to be a season in his career where he has the upside to finish top 5 at the position. So I like Jameson a lot.
No doubt. The caveat that people have reminded me is that when like Laporta was out and that was a big bump for Jamo and it didn't really, the splits didn't make a difference for Amon-Ra. So I just wonder too, they have a lot of nice weapons. Like, is there some impact of Laporta coming back healthy against Jamo specifically and not Amon-Ra? And then the flip side is the offense is going to change a little bit because it's no more Dave Montgomery. They're going to use Gibbs more, but maybe they still pass even more or lean on certain skill position players and they scheme up more plays for Jamo because they don't have Montgomery there to, they're not scheming as many between Gibbs and Montgomery. I don't know. Things to think about. There's a lot and change there. The new offensive coordinator as well. But yeah, I'll give this a soft 3. And then their tight end room, they go Loveland and Fannin. Honestly, I think Fannin hurt them because they probably could have used a running back there. But if we're being objective about like what that means, like I think having Loveland and Fannin, man, kind of like we gave the first team a 4 for having McBride and Kraft. This would be slightly cheaper with Loveland and slightly cheaper with Fannin, but still probably 2 of the best, I'd say 5 or 6 tight ends. Is this a 4 tight end room or is this a 3?
It's a 3 for me. I
for
think
you?
there's a big difference between McBride and Kraft and Loveland and Fannin. I think
Okay.
McBride is like a degree of separation better than Loveland, as much as I like Loveland, and I'm much higher on Kraft than I am Fannin. So it's a 3 for me. But if you give it a 4, like I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I am gonna give it a 4 because I know it kind of ruined the rest of the team, but that's kind of the trade-off is like not that it ruined the team, but like you know what I'm saying? It made the other parts of the team really hard to like get right.
Yeah.
But I do think they earned back some points there for that tight end room. So they end up with a score of a 23. They drafted their team build was a
3,
3-6-7-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can work. That's not this. No one went like crazy. I don't think anyone did like a 2-4-8-4 build. Does that even add up? No, it would have been a 2-4. I can't do math. Yeah, 2-4-8-4. I've done that on. I have a best ball mania this year where I have a 2-4-8-4 build. I also have a 3-4-7-4 build, and it seems crazy when you're doing it, but like I own it. Both those teams I really like, so we have to look at them. But everyone here is going much more common team builds. No one's like.
Well,
going
I do
crazy.
think there was a strategy here where it's like let's just draft like a good team and not try to go too crazy. Like you're managing your floor there in a competition. It counted into a scoring. I mean, we're scoring positionally. If we were scoring the team overall, I think they'd be lower than their individual positional ranks. Where did the 23 end out with the other teams?
So there, and I'll show this on the screen at the very end too as well. I know I've been hiding it the whole time, but they are second to last now. The Squares team was 22 out of 32 for a 69. They're 23 out of 32 for a 72%. So they're in second to last right now.
That sounds right.
And then last but not least, we have Emo and BB Chosen. Let's get them on the stream.
Pairing. Yeah.
Yeah. I only got to hear kind of the beginning of this one, and then I tuned back in and caught some of the end of it. It seemed like their chemistry was actually going pretty well, though.
Emo's such a professional host. Like Emo could talk to a box of cardboard, and not to say anything bad about BB Chosen. I'm just saying,
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, good at this. Yeah.
Yeah. And shout out to Chosen as well. He and I did a stream together pretty recently. It was like within the last month, and we drafted a ton of teams together. Just got to talk ball a little bit. Super nice guy. Yeah. And he's Chosen is also a guy who's like in a lot of the Discord space and things. I know you see his name in there too. And he's pretty active in the Best Ball Bro community. So we expect him to draft a good team. We expect this team to be good between Emo and Chosen. I want to see what they can cook up. Let's see if they show the board again, and then we'll talk about their first, I guess, 5 picks. Come on, show the board, Emo.
Yeah.
Show the board, Emo. Oh, okay. He was doing this thing. He had the aspect a little bit weird. I'm going to let it so we can see their team. There we go.
Yeah.
So from the one spot, they go Gibbs, Pickens, Hall, Burden, Loveland. Your thoughts?
Same critique as always. Anytime I can get Rasheed over Pickens, I'm going to do it without thinking. I also like Love over Brees. What do you think about going Burden and Loveland? Do you think you need to take a stand on one of those guys, or do you think they can coexist? Because I know there's a lot of the stats of like, when Loveland came on strong last year, it kind of ate into Burden a little bit. Do you think they can coexist at cost?
I don't know. I think in this way it can. The reason it makes sense to take Burden here, his ADP is usually closer to like 44, kind of like in this middle or early 4th round. So they got him like at a really good price. And then Loveland in the 5th round, I think, is generally a good price as well. So I think it can work. I think in your 4th and 5th round picks, it's not too much draft capital in one team in 2 pass catchers that would ruin you. We see the team in the 4 spot go Puka at the 1 and then Adams in the 4th. So he's kind of doing a similar thing, right? And it's even more expensive, but it is the Rams. So like, the Bears aren't the Rams, but they're good. And we like Ben Johnson offenses. I think this is okay. I think this can work. I think it's kind of fun. And I think if I was in the position to take Burden and Loveland on a team, I would do it from a portfolio view where it's like, I may never get another chance to do that in another
Yeah.
100 teams. So just get it when you can and then make it work.
Yeah, I think structurally their team is good so far. A 2-2 and 1 tight end is good.
Feels crazy that it was random.
Oh no, I saw the debate challenge at the very beginning. Candyman, did you catch that?
I forget, what was it?
So BB chosen, like before he got chosen, no pun intended, to come on, he was saying that he would have crushed the debate challenge, and people were flaming him in the comments, being like, you couldn't even do the tout twist. So in the first round, Emo was like, all right, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Like he was like, I'm gonna tout Keenan Williams. Like, tell me why Keenan Williams is bad.
Keenan Allen.
Highest exposure for Emo in the big board, I think. So
Keenan Allen. Yeah, I did catch that part. So Chosen came on, and I thought his debate against Keenan Allen was. Sorry, Chosen. I don't think it was that strong.
Yeah.
But love Chosen. Good guy. But no, I did not think his. So I didn't catch all of the context in the chat because I couldn't see the chat live for portions. I was mostly an audio listener as I'm like multitasking and during the workday, of course. But I did see Chosen and Emo talk about Keenan Allen. Thanks for bringing that up, Goombuzz. That's clutch. That's a good point to bring up. And so how did Chosen, was he kind of flustered after that, or did he kind of recover and roll with it?
I thought he recovered well. I think Emo did a good job of making sure it wasn't super adversarial between the two of them, which obviously was the point of the challenge. So I like Marv there.
Everyone's drafting Marv tonight. Marv goes to today. Every team it seems like every team got Marv. They get the stack with Caleb. So, I mean, this is just kind of how it comes together. This is going to be an interesting team, and I think it's going to be pretty strong. Emo's a pretty competent best ball drafter, a best ball bro, and he knows how to pull a team together. And I think Chosen has some experience too, and some interesting player takes, some good player takes. So I think them combined, like I'm really interested to see how they land this one because so far it's looking pretty good. They go Harvey, which I'm starting to fade more and more, although I have been a Harvey bull in the past. But I think at the end of the day, a Broncos running back can be good. They go Addison, who can spike, but I'm also skeptical of with Juwan Jennings being there and how many guys can Kyler support. But he's been really good in the past. Maybe Addison can bounce back after last season. I'm going to jump ahead. Let's see next time they show the board in a big way, and we can so they go Jones and Wandale. How do you feel about these middle picks so far?
I think they're doing a decent job right now. Sorry, who did they just pick? Was it Jones and
Wandale Robinson, and then they got Sam Darnold, I think, unstacked, and Trey Tucker. Everyone's drafting Trey Tucker too, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm not in love with the middle of the draft. I don't like Jones per se. I think Wandale's pretty good. Like, again, to your point from earlier, I feel like we've talked about all these guys because everyone's drafting the same. It's almost like we're in an echo chamber. It's almost like we're all watching the same streams every night and picking the same players. But I digress. Wandale's going to be a target monster, especially early on as Tate kind of comes on and as a rookie. They get Mendoza there to go with Tucker. So they have 3 quarterbacks. They have 2 tight ends. I mean, this is a very balanced build so far.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of the Darnold pick, naked Darnold. I think it's fine though, as long as it's just like a cheap QB. I know that Emo personally is out on Daniel Jones because of the injury. He's not a huge believer, I think. So maybe I would honestly take Daniel Jones over Sam Darnold there, but he goes much later. He falls super late in this draft. Pick 167, I think that is. And then, or around there, whatever. They take Mendoza. They had Trey Tucker already. It's okay. Hawkinson, it's their 3rd Viking, which seems all right if you believe in Kyler Murray and Kevin O'Connell. But they don't have Kyler Murray, but they get a lot of the pieces, so you can still benefit, I think. And then to wrap this one up, they go Davis and Mooney. Are you in or out on Mooney?
I actually really like Mooney. I think he's going to have a chance to really establish himself as Neighbors kind of comes back early season. Not sure if Scadaboo will really be 100% early on. So I think he could establish some sort of rapport. I think Mooney's talented, like just as a pure talent. We
Yeah.
saw what Wandale did last year in that offense. So I don't know. I think Mooney's fine, especially as late as he goes. What do you think?
I think you're right. I need to warm up to it. I drafted 20% Mooney last year, one of my most drafted wide receivers, and it just burnt me so bad. I'm just
Yeah.
like, man, and he's changing teams, and it's the Giants, and I guess they need a wide receiver too because Wandale's gone, but I don't know how many passing yards is Dart going to average per game? 210, 220? Is it ever going to be enough to support more
Well,
than just
it's
Neighbors?
interesting. It's interesting that you don't like Likely or Mooney.
It's a good point. I love Scattaboo and I love Neighbors, and so maybe I'm just like concentrated on like the higher expensive pieces, and I'm just skeptical of like who the secondary pieces are or if they're even going to matter. I was higher on Tracy, and I was fading Scattaboo until like you saw him. I saw him healthy, and now I'm pretty much fading Tracy.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's see who they wrap up with their last pick here.
Ingram. Evan Ingram.
Interesting.
It's fine, right? I don't think there's
anything
wrong with that.
Was that their third or their fourth? That was their third.
It was their third. So they go with a 3-5-7-3. Let's talk about their QBs. What do you think here?
Yeah, for me, this is a 3. I mean, they have the elite guy in Caleb. They have him stacked. I don't know. Naked Darnold is double stacked. Naked Darnold, or did they tag on anything with Darnold late? So that's
Darnold.
probably a miss. And then Mendoza. Yeah, for me, it's a 3.
I think it's a week 3. I'd be tempted to give it a 2 if it wasn't a Caleb double stack, but I'm personally jealous because I'm pretty sure I don't have a Caleb, Burden, Loveland team in any of my drafts so far, and that's something I'd want. That's like on my hit list of like things I need before the season starts, right? That's like one of the fun things I would do is like I create like a list. Last year it was like I need to have at least one team that is Dak with Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, and like until I get it, like I'm not forcing it, but I'm trying to make it happen naturally and then keep track so I at least have one. I want at least one team with Burrow and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And some of them are super expensive, but some of them are cheaper. Like, I want one team with Stafford and Puka and Devontae Adams because you don't want to like have like too many of those teams, but you want to have at least one because it hasn't worked yet, but it might work. And it's a strong, bet like we were talking about with the Ravens on that second draft.
Was last year was the year, right, where the Bengals, it was like everyone was taking Chase and then getting Higgins on the comeback and then double stacking it with Burrow. Like that was like, I feel like 40% of the teams I saw last year. The running back room here, I'm going to give this a 4. I think this has been the strongest team we've seen to have that anchor running back and then actually supplement it with some talent. So getting Gibbs, I'm high on Brees this year. I think Brees to Jonathan Taylor point, I think Brees is just a generational talent. It's the Jets, but one of these years it's going to hit. Harvey, I think, is fine. I like Jones as a running back 4 as opposed to the running back 3 Jones we've seen earlier. I like Ray Davis a lot too, so this would be an easy 4 for me.
I give it a strong 3. It's something that I could build, but in the back of my mind, I'm just a little bit less in on Breece Hall. I'm starting to be a little bit less in on Harvey. I like that Aaron Jones is the 4. Ray Davis, take him or leave him. It does have Gibbs, so I'd say it's a very, very strong 3. It's just I don't feel 100% confident in the RB2 and the RB3 versus if I had a team that I'd have to look at the board and think about it. But if I had like Gibbs, Love, and then like HN, like ETN, if I had like those 3, that's where I'm like, oh, smash, easy 3, easy kind of 4 start. But then again, you're not going to have the receivers that they had, which their top receiver, let's jump ahead, was George Pickens. So like you wouldn't have Pickens, but maybe he's expensive this year. He is expensive. He's good, but he's expensive. So they go Pickens, Burden, Harrison, Addison, Wandale, Trey Tucker, Darnell Mooney. There's no rookie wide receiver, which is kind of it's I don't know if you've heard like it's kind of some best ball bro lore. You have to have at least one rookie wide receiver on your team because everyone who's ever won Best Ball Mania always had a rookie wide receiver on their team.
That makes sense. Although, do you think like rookie wide receiver pricing is getting more efficient over the years?
Yeah, but it's part of that. It's part of like that superstition where even if it's your last pick or your second to last pick, like you might as well have one guy who could be the next Puka Nacua as a rookie than Darnell Mooney, who he is pretty good, but he has a
we know what Darnell Mooney is, right? Like you don't know what the rookie wide receiver is. Yeah, for me, the wide receiver room, it's like a light 3 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need Burden to hit. It's a light 3. It's solid, really good veterans. It's a light 3, and they get the Darnell Mooney stacked up with. No, excuse me, they didn't have Dart. That was the other team. They have the double stack with Burden and then Leveland. And the tight ends, Leveland, Hawkinson, Ingram. How do we end up on that?
Strong 3.
Strong 3. I think so too. But I'm trying to imagine what it would take to get a 4 from me. I guess it's just having that elite tight end, and you kind of don't want a 4 at tight end. So I'll leave it at 3. I think 3 is a strong score for this team. I think it's right. They end up with a 25 out of 32. There's 3 teams that are tied with 25 out of 32. Let me go ahead. I am going to take their team down, and I'm going to share screen.
Yeah, Max, it could be anything, even a boat.
Yeah. For the rookie wideouts.
Yeah.
Let me get out of this. Let me pull this over. Boom. And we'll wrap up these team reviews. We'll look at these scorings, and we're going to get out of here, guys. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for rocking with us. If you're watching this back in the future, if you fast forward to the end, we're long-winded, but we do our homework. We're thorough. This is how we ended up. We at a max score of 32, which no one came close to, which is what you would expect. It's hard to get 4s across the board. We're trying to be positionally critical of what they drafted. The best score was an 84 out of Cups and Max. There's 3 teams with a nice 78, getting 25. They did it in slightly different ways. You can see how their scores line up. And we thought there was 2 teams who drafted poorly, but Michael and PPR's team was fine. We thought the Tony and Kitchen team was kind of off the rails a bit, but also we were being hypercritical in the first team. So maybe the curve, maybe we could have bumped them up.
I don't know. I think that was fair.
It was fair, but maybe the Jalen Hurts, you could argue this is a 3 for at least one of us at QB. Maybe I would say that because it's at least Jalen Hurts, and then maybe we bump them up to 23. But I'm cool with it. We know what we'll do is I'll pretty this up. I'll turn it into a little graphic. I'll tweet it out in the morning with in case you missed it, link to the stream and a reminder for everyone else to come watch this. But Mitchell, thanks so much for your time, man. I know it's a weeknight, and thanks for spending it here. I love talking ball with you, and we got to do it in a fun context of grading the So You Think You Can Tout remaining contestants, best ball teams. It's fun because we're also invested in So You Think You Can Tout, and it's so much fun to keep track of. And I thought, you know what, if I'm gonna create some more content for it while I can, let it be in the domain that I feel like I'm the expert in, the best ball bro domain. And so I'm glad you could make it out tonight. And it wasn't just me, driving this ship alone. I had a co-pilot to help us land this plane. Commish, what else you got coming up in the near term for the people before we get out of here?
Yeah, nothing too much. Yeah, it is a weeknight, but Fridays don't really count, so no worries about that. Yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty invested in the show right now. I still have my So You Think You Can Tout background. Hopefully did enough today to make it through and keep this background going for a couple more weeks. But yeah, for right now, just invested in the show, and then afterwards, stay tuned for what we got coming up next. But yeah, appreciate you having me on. This was a ton of fun.
Of course, man, and we'll do it again soon. I'm looking forward. I know you got a lot on your plate, but I'm looking forward to the next lot, and thanks, because I think it was so much fun the first time. I'm always down to do it again. And guys, make sure you subscribe to Commish's YouTube channel. Links in the description again. We'll catch y'all in another one real soon. Peace out.